This is Ren, the Sword Emperor, a man who walked an endless path of the sword. His power was legendary, enough to shatter mountains with a single strike. But even as the Sword Emperor, he wasn't satisfied, and challenged the era's strongest warrior, the Heavenly Demon. Their epic duel raged for countless days, a clash of inhuman ferocity. Their power was so immense, it was said the landscape itself was changed by their clash. But even with his immense strength, Ren found himself pushed to his absolute limit. Under a blood-red moon, the duel reached its climax. On the devastated battlefield, the two titans stood facing each other one last time. Battered and breathless, Ren couldn't comprehend his impending defeat. His swordsmanship was supposed to be perfect, yet for all his skill he couldn't land a single blow on the Heavenly Demon. His opponent simply smiled, ready to impart one final brutal lesson. The Heavenly Demon revealed Ren's fatal flaw. He had mastered technique, but neglected the basics, swinging his sword only for his own survival. Ren's hand trembled as he heard this. This immaturity had cost him his life, but in his pride he dismissed it as a meaningless insult. The Heavenly Demon acknowledged his strength, however, calling him impressive for a mere stray dog. As a final show of respect for a worthy foe, he prepares to end his journey. He looks down on the fallen Sword Emperor, and with a final, swift strike, the duel is over. The legendary Sword Emperor falls, his life ending in absolute defeat. In his last moments, a single burning regret consumed him. He reaches out, wondering if one more chance would have allowed his sword to finally find its mark. The life of Sword Emperor Ren ended in complete defeat. But at that very moment, a new legend was about to begin. We cut to a training ground, where a young boy gasps for air after being knocked out. Suddenly, he jolts awake, his eyes shooting open in a panic. He sits up, confused, finding himself in an unfamiliar place, wearing a uniform with the number 381. He clutches his head, trying to shake off the remnants of that horrible dream he keeps having. Just then, a group of bullies approach, sarcastically surprised he's still alive. The boy, whose name in this life is Leonard. Seeing him alive, the lead bully decides to pick up where they left off. He throws a punch, expecting Leonard to cower as usual, but Leonard's eyes flash, with an instinct he never knew he had. His arm moves on its own, blocking the punch with impossible speed. The bully stares in shock, his fist caught midair. His two friends can't believe what they're seeing. Leonard himself is stunned. His body moved without his command. His grip on the bully's wrist is unshakable. Enraged, the bully grabs a training sword. He charges forward, yelling at Leonard not to get cocky from one lucky move. He brings the sword down in a crude overhead swing, but Leonard's body is already moving, a fluid motion straight from a master's textbook. The bully's eyes widen in terror. He dodged it? Leonard now holds the sword, a confident smirk on his face as he realizes his body is moving by itself. It's as if his limbs are being guided by something else entirely. With a single, precise strike, he brings the flat of the blade down on the bully's neck. The attacker drops to the ground, unconscious. The last two bullies are frozen in utter shock. They realize it wasn't luck. The weakling is completely playing with them. He's like a completely different person. Their bravado evaporates, replaced by confusion and fear. Panicking, the leader shouts for them to attack him together. The two charge at once in a desperate, final attempt. As his body reacts with practiced ease, Leonard begins to understand. A smile forms as he says, "Now I get it." He remembers everything. He easily dodges one attacker and pivots to meet the other. With the flawless technique of a master, he strikes them both down in a single fluid motion. He stands victorious as the last of his bullies hits the dirt. Looking at his handiwork, Leonard finally puts the pieces together. The strange dream he'd been having for so long, of a white-haired man fighting under a crimson sky. It wasn't a dream. It was a memory from his past life. The life and death of that man Ren all comes flooding back. The incredible truth settles in. He is the reincarnation of the Sword Emperor. He clenches his fist, the impossible reality sinking in. His desperate dying wish was actually granted. But the thrill is cut short by a sharp pain. His new body is incredibly weak, already aching from the short fight. He grabs his wrist, annoyed at how he'd let this body get so out of shape. But his eyes burn with a new purpose. From now on, things will be different. With his past memories and skills, he will become as strong as possible. He is Leonard now, and he will achieve the greatness that eluded Ren. He will surpass his past self, and become the one true, strongest Sword Emperor. Meanwhile, inside the magnificent Cardenas training grounds, a group of elite trainees are gathered before their leader, the Academy's rank 1. He's informed that 3 trainees are too injured for upcoming training. One of his subordinates smirks, revealing a fascinating rumor he heard. All 3 were supposedly taken down by one person, the low-ranked number 381. The leader asks for the ranks of the 3 who were defeated. Learning they were numbers 329, 257, and 133, a shocked silence fills the room. A subordinate expresses his worry that this newcomer could disrupt the Academy's balance of power. The rank 1 leader silences him with a sharp glare, his sword crackling with power. He scoffs at the idea of being shaken by a nobody, Still, his interest is clearly piqued as he confirms the number, 381. He calmly issues an order to his men. They are to bring this newcomer to him. He wants to see for himself whether this number 381 is someone worth using. The heavenly demon imparts one final lesson as a parting gift for the afterlife. He reveals Ren's greatest weakness. He neglected to build a proper foundation for his inner power, starting far too late in life. Had Ren focused on the basics when he was young, the outcome of their legendary duel might have been entirely different. The Sword Emperor's eyes widen in his final moments as this devastating truth sinks in. Back in the present, Leonard reflects on this critical mistake while meditating, his body shrouded in a vibrant blue aura. He now understands. The heavenly demon was right. He only laid his foundation after he was past the ideal age for growth. But in this new, young body, he has the perfect opportunity to start over and build it correctly. Plus, he focuses his will, channeling his energy to forge a body that can handle an immense amount of mana. With a final surge, a vortex of power forms around him, signaling his success. He did it. A triumphant smile plays on his lips as he feels the power crackling in his hand. Clenching his fist, he marvels at the raw potential of his new Cardenas bloodline. Later, at the Cardenas training grounds, Leonard heads to the dining hall. Other trainees line up for their meals, the hierarchy of the academy subtly on display. Leonard sits down to eat, finding the food surprisingly to his liking. He knows a balanced diet is crucial for building his new body, so for once, he eats with gusto. Suddenly, a large trainee looms over him, calling him out by his number, 381. The trainee seems amused, commenting on Leonard's newfound appetite and mentioning the fight from the day before. He notes that Leonard, who usually just picks at his food, has almost cleared his entire plate. Leonard asks what his rank was before. The burly trainee proudly points to his new badge, number 7. With a flex, he boasts that he defeated the previous number 7 and took his rank just the other day. Leonard now understands the academy's system. You can climb the ranks by defeating those above you. He cuts straight to the point, asking the big guy what he wants. Number 7 calls him cold, but says he wants to share some important information. He reveals that the academy has become tense lately, with the top-ranked students forming their own powerful factions. As he explains, Leonard leaves the table. He already knows about numbers 1, 2, and 4. He explains their defining feature, golden hair and eyes, the mark of the direct Cardenas bloodline. Number 7 gets nervous, looking around and warning Leonard to be careful who might be listening. Tired of the theatrics, Leonard tells him to just get to the point. Number 7 clutches his head in frustration, wondering if Leonard is being deliberately dense. Gritting his teeth, he tries to make Leonard understand the danger they're in. He explains that with the elite factions growing, unaffiliated students like them need to band together to survive. He proposes an alliance, revealing he's already planning to team up with numbers 3 and 9, and wants Leonard to join them. The offer hangs in the air as he gestures towards himself, awaiting an answer. Leonard's response is swift and decisive. He refuses. He says he's not joining any side, but thanks him for the intel before turning to leave. Number 7 is left completely stunned, wondering if Leonard hit his head, because he's like a completely different person now. As Leonard leaves the dining hall, his path is blocked. He asks the two students what they need from him. One of them, a lackey of the academy's rank 1, sarcastically asks how his meal was. It seems they have a message to deliver from their boss. They inform him that number 1 wants to see him. The lackey adds that number 1 appreciated him turning down number 7's invitation. Leonard realizes that everything that happens here is reported directly to the top. He internally scoffs at their serious faction games. Turning his back, he tells them he's not interested and to get lost. Enraged by the disrespect from a low-ranked scrub, one of the trainees draws his wooden sword. Screaming that he'll make Leonard regret it, he lunges forward to attack. The attacker is stunned by Leonard's speed. He closed the distance in a single step. Leonard prepares to counter, his hand glowing with a faint aura. He unleashes a powerful strike, his body wreathed in red energy. The lackey is horrified. Leonard caught his blade with his bare hands. The wooden sword disintegrates under the force of Leonard's power. With a swift, brutal strike, Leonard sends the attacker flying. The man's rank badge, number 157, is knocked clean from his uniform. The remaining lackey can only stare as their comrade is defeated so easily. Leonard looks at the last man standing and asks if he's realized he can't win. The trainee, number 98, is sweating, but his pride won't let him back down. Leonard calmly accepts the challenge, saying he'll give the man exactly what he wants. He explodes forward, a blur of motion too fast for the eye to follow. Another decisive blow ends the fight before it can even begin. The final lackey is sent flying, and the number 98 badge tumbles through the air. From a window high above, a mysterious masked figure has been watching the entire exchange, and he's impressed. Leonard completely toyed with them. He's confused though. Leonard's background is clean, so where did the sudden power come from? Suddenly, he freezes. From the courtyard below, Leonard looks directly at him, having sensed his gaze. It's Owl, the observer of the trainees, and he's looking forward to trainee number 381. Sorry, my bad. It's now trainee number 98, Leonard Cardenas. A trainee runs through the halls, shouting in a panic. He desperately explains to a figure in his path that number 1 ordered him to grab number 98. The figure, revealing her number 2 badge, realizes that the Academy's top rank is already making a move on the new upstart. It's number 2. Verita Cardenas. She'd heard rumors about an amazing new kid and came to see for herself. It seems the rumors were true. On the training grounds, she finds several trainees already defeated, confirming the new kid's strength. Just then, another of number 1's underlings is sent flying by an unseen force. Verita watches, intrigued. The attacker, another high-ranking trainee, tries to intimidate Leonard into joining their squad, telling him to just shut up and join. But Leonard, now wearing the number 98 badge he won, coldly refuses again. He doesn't just refuse. He demolishes his opponent with a single, powerful strike, sending the man flying. With contemptuous ease, he snatches the number 25 badge from his uniform. Verita casually approaches the scene of carnage, congratulating Leonard on his promotion to number 25. Her golden eyes narrow as she focuses on him. She's not just looking, she's using her unique ability to perceive the strange constitution and flow of energy within his body. Leonard is taken aback. He recognizes her ability as a form of clairvoyance. He identifies it as the mind's eye, a state of perception that allows one to see into an opponent's inner self and intent, a truly dangerous weapon. Verita, acknowledging his strength, questions why he's so against teaming up for tomorrow's training, which she insists is impossible for a solo player. Before he can answer, a new challenger arrives, silencing Verita and drawing everyone's attention. It's the man himself, number 1, William Cardenas. Looking every bit the arrogant top rank, he glares down at his defeated lackey, disgusted that he couldn't even handle a simple errand. Finally, he turns his attention to the source of the trouble, his expression dripping with disdain. He calmly approaches Leonard, and Leonard remarks that it took him long enough to arrive. The two top prospects of the direct bloodline face off, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. But Leonard is unfazed. He simply asks if William wants to fight now. The blatant disrespect causes a vein to pop on William's head. Verita can't contain herself and bursts into laughter. She remarks that he's really something else. No one has ever talked to number 1 that way before. Acting as a mediator, she suggests they stop for the day, pointing out that Leonard has no intention of joining anyone. William scoffs, claiming he just came to see what Leonard was like, and walks away with a parting thread. Leonard coolly accepts the challenge. He knows what this is really about. There's secret information about the training that only the direct bloodline knows. That's why they're all scrambling to build their factions ahead of time. The day of the joint training arrives. The trainees gather in the forest, where a senior instructor is being briefed. His subordinate reports that while everyone has gathered, one particular trainee is causing a problem. We're introduced to the stern-looking senior instructor Bruno. The subordinate explains that a single trainee insists on participating in the training alone, without a squad. Bruno is taken aback, confirming the trainee understands the nature of the exercise. The exercise is a grueling outdoor survival test in the vast and dangerous Cardenas Great Forest. Trainees are expected to be completely self-sufficient, hunting for food and building their own shelters. As expected, most trainees have formed large factions, led by the top 4 ranked students. Squad A is the largest, led by the domineering number 1, William Cardenas. Squad B is commanded by the perceptive number 2, Verita Cardenas. Squad C is made up of trainees who aren't from the direct Cardenas bloodline, led by number 3. And Squad D is led by the cunning strategist, number 4, Dylan Cardenas. The rest of the trainees, those who couldn't get into a main faction, have gathered into Squad E. The instructor flips through his list, his eyes landing on the final name. Lastly, there's number 25, Leonard Cardenas. He's listed as Squad F, all by himself. Leonard takes in the vastness of the training grounds, realizing he needs to secure a strong, hidden base as soon as possible. Instructor Bruno calls out to him, questioning the minimal luggage he's brought for a survival exercise. Bruno seems genuinely concerned, wondering if a little water and some biscuits will be enough, but Leonard is unbothered. He knows the real point of the training is self-sufficiency, even though it will likely become a badge-snatching free-for-all. As Leonard prepares to set off, someone asks the instructor to wait. It's number 4, Dylan Cardenas. He warns that going into the forest alone is dangerous in more ways than one. He formally introduces himself, his smile hiding a sinister, snake-like aura as he offers Leonard a spot in Squad D. Leonard's reply is short and sharp refusal. He sees right through Dylan's false concern, sensing he'd be abandoned at the first sign of trouble, much like the slain beast at Dylan's feet. Dylan feigns confusion, pointing out that his offer is generous since most squads have dozens of members. But Leonard isn't having it. He bluntly states he has no interest in tagging along on Dylan's little picnic. Dylan's friendly facade finally cracks. He smirks, remarking that he now sees why number 1 hates Leonard so much. Their shared arrogance makes them natural rivals. He vows that Leonard will regret his decision. With a smile that doesn't reach his eyes, Dylan decides to convince Leonard by force, claiming it's all for the sake of the training. He lunges, his sword a blur of motion aimed to quickly subdue his target. But Leonard sidesteps the attack with impossible ease. Dylan is stunned. His strike was completely dodged. Leonard's footwork is unlike anything he's ever seen, allowing him to close the distance instantly. Before Dylan can react, Leonard unleashes a devastating blow that sends him crashing to the ground. As he stands over his opponent, Leonard analyzes the attack. He hadn't felt a shred of killing intent. He realizes Dylan has already reached an assassin's realm, capable of suppressing his hostility completely. He's a dangerous opponent. Instructor Bruno steps forward, placing a hand on Leonard's shoulder. He's impressed, but reminds him that, since this isn't the official exercise, no rank up will be awarded. He gives Leonard permission to depart first, as the smallest possible squad. Leonard thinks he couldn't sense Bruno's power at all, calling him a terrifying powerhouse. Bruno simply smiles knowingly. As Leonard dashes into the forest, he's fully aware of the dangers. The Cardenas lands hold monsters that would have been a challenge even for him in his past life. He marvels at the sheer talent fostered by the Cardenas clan. He's convinced that for so many gifted youngsters to appear at once, the Cardenas bloodline must hide a profound secret. But those thoughts are for another time. Right now, he needs to focus on the training. With renewed determination, he sprints deeper into the forest. At the instructor's camp, Senior Instructor Bruno receives a status report. His subordinate informs him that clashes between the trainees have broken out far earlier than expected. The first aggressor was Squad A. Under William's command, they skipped setting up a base and launched an immediate full-scale assault on Squad C. Caught completely off guard, Squad C was annihilated. Only their leader, the bloodied and battered Number 3, barely managed to escape with her life. Bruno muses on the development. He knew Number 1 was sharp, but a surprise blitzkrieg was a bolder move than he anticipated. Stroking his beard, he deduces that William's strategy runs deeper than a simple numbers game. He correctly analyzes that with such a large squad, securing enough supplies would be a nightmare. So William chose to strike hard and fast, eliminating a weaker faction before they could even get organized. This move proves he's not just a powerhouse. He's a cunning strategist who's always a step ahead. Bruno then asks for an update on Squads B and D. He's told that Verita and Dylan, upon learning of Squad C's fate, have wisely formed an alliance to take down their common enemy, Number 1. The senior instructor is impressed. This new batch of trainees is far quicker on the uptake than the last, promising a much more interesting exercise. He then turns his attention to a female instructor with long blue hair, addressing her as Instructor Colin. He asks for her report on the remaining squads under her watch. Colin flinches, clearly not expecting to be called on. She nervously reports that Squad E hasn't made any significant moves, but when it comes to Squad F, she trails off, holding up the file for Number 25, Leonard Cardenas, admitting she doesn't even know where to begin. Miles away, our lone wolf has found a promising cave. He stops and calls out, directly addressing Instructor Colin. Hidden behind a tree, Colin is utterly shocked. Her concealment technique is among the best, yet he spotted her instantly. Leonard turns back, a knowing look on his face. He was fully aware he was being watched. As he suspected, she'd been tailing him the whole time. She steps out from her hiding spot, her cover blown, and asks what he wants. He calmly gestures to the cave, stating that it seems to be occupied, but he wants to claim it as his sleeping place. From the pitch-black maw of the cave, a pair of menacing glowing eyes stare out. Leonard asks Colin if the beast is one of the Cardenas' domesticated creatures, and if he'll be penalized for injuring it. Before she can answer, a massive blue-furred direwolf stalks out of the darkness, snarling ferociously. Colin confirms that it's a direwolf trained by the clan, and is considered relatively safe. However, she silently believes it's impossible for a single trainee to take one down alone. Deciding to test his mettle, she figures she can always step in if things get too dangerous. It's the perfect opportunity to see if his reputation is all just a bluff. She gives him the green light, framing it as part of the training. If he can kill the beast, the cave is his to use as a base or a pantry. With a condescending smile, she adds a final taunt, challenging him to kill it, if he can. The direwolf doesn't wait for an invitation, lunging forward with blinding speed. He smirks, commenting that it moves pretty well for a pet, and offers to hold back a bit. However, the cave is too good a spot to pass up. With a chilling calm, he tells the beast he'll have to ask it to leave. He strikes the wolf, forcing it to fall back. The beast whips around, its fur crackling with energy as it prepares a more powerful assault. Suddenly, Leonard's expression hardens. He senses a surge of pure killing intent from the direwolf, realizing it's lost its reason and gone feral. He knows that if he holds back now, he'll only get himself hurt and create more problems for the observing instructor. He tightens his grip on his training sword, his playful demeanor gone. It's time to end this. He tells the beast this is going to sting, and in a blur of motion, he leaps over a wild swipe from the direwolf. He lands a solid blow to its flank before it can even register the movement. The beast, seeing an opportunity, tries to bite. He ducks under a final, desperate snap of its jaws, moving deep inside its guard. With a final, devastating blow, he slams his fist into the direwolf's pressure point, knocking the massive creature out cold. Instructor Colin can only stare, her jaw agape. He completely overpowered it in an instant. He never needed her help in the first place. She's left wondering if what she just witnessed was truly the strength of a trainee. Having secured his new home, he turns to walk away. But behind him, the giant direwolf stirs, its ferocious snarls replaced by whimpers. It's been thoroughly humbled. Leonard gives a single sharp command, sit. The beast immediately obeys. He then tells it to roll over, and the once terrifying monster flops onto its back like an overgrown puppy. Finally, he tells it to shake, and the direwolf meekly offers its paw. He turns to the stunned instructor Colin, casually mentioning that the wolf seems attached to him now, and asks permission to take it along. The thought of someone with Leonard's power and mindset also commanding a direwolf sends a shiver down her spine. She stammers, saying that it would be difficult to allow such a thing, but she can't deny his achievement. She agrees to grant him permission, but only under strict conditions. She forbids him from using the direwolf in combat against other trainees. It can only be used for transportation and scouting. Leonard nonchalantly agrees, stating that was his intention all along. Sighing with a mixture of relief and disbelief, Colin simply warns him to make sure it doesn't harm anyone else. With his new companion in tow, Leonard officially begins the training, sending the direwolf off to hunt for food. They soon reach a fork in the path, where Leonard decides they should split up to cover more ground. He gives one last instruction. If the wolf finds anything interesting besides food, it should bring that back too. With their orders clear, he and his tamed beast dash off in separate directions. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the forest, the strong continue to prey on the weak. William stands over a defeated opponent from Squad E. He looks down with contempt, sneering that it's pointless for trash like him to even carry Cardena's blood. He pockets the stolen badge, warning the trainee that he got lucky this time, that he has no room for any more badges. With a final threat, he promises to knock him out of the exercise for good the next time they meet. The defeated trainee, number 438, can only clench his teeth in frustration. He bitterly recounts how their entire squad attacked together, yet they still couldn't even beat number 1 alone. Squad E, the group of trainees who couldn't get into the main factions, are left feeling hopeless. Their reluctant leader, number 483, feels crushed by the responsibility, knowing they're nothing more than walking targets. His demoralized squadmates look to him for a plan, but he's just as lost as they are. Trying to raise their spirits, he suggests they pull themselves together and search for food. One of them whispers that their only hope is to stay hidden, but he's cut off by a sudden, terrifying presence. He and the girl beside him freeze, their faces masks of pure horror. The leader turns, asking them why they're making that face. He gets his answer as a monstrous, red-eyed bear emerges from the trees, looming over them. Realizing they're about to become bear food, the leader steels himself for a final, desperate stand. But just as the beast lunges, a golden blur flashes through the air, intercepting the attack. The giant bear rears back, at the sound. The creature is sent crashing to the ground, utterly defeated in a single blow. The leader of Squad E stare in absolute disbelief at the impossible sight before them. Standing atop the slain monster is their savior, the one-man army himself. The leader recognizes him instantly. It's number 25, Leonard Cardenas. He accuses him for stealing their prey. Assuming he's here to finish them off, 438 asks how much more Leonard plans to take, despairing over the loss of their potential food source. Unfazed, Leonard calmly approaches the terrified and defeated squad. Their leader is still reeling from the shock of their near-death experience and sudden rescue. Leonard simply asks the group if they're all right. As 438 confirms they're unhurt, another squad member cautiously asks if Leonard is there to steal their badges. Leonard glances back, explaining that he only intervened because the situation looked dangerous. He clarifies his purpose. He's here to train, not to compete for badges or food. He adds that if he wanted a real fight, he'd choose his opponents more carefully, before turning to leave. The squad leader is left speechless, remembering how quickly this mysterious trainee climbed the ranks to number 25. A sense of gratitude washes over him. He clenches his fist, realizing he owes his savior a debt. He bows deeply, thanking Leonard for saving his squad from certain elimination. Leonard looks a bit awkward, admitting that saving them wasn't really his intention. Just then, a rustling in the bushes catches everyone's attention. A pair of menacing blue eyes pierces the darkness of the forest. Leonard's tamed direwolf emerges, carrying a limp figure in its massive jaws. The already shaken Squad E is paralyzed with fear at the sight of the colossal beast. The wolf, however, just sits obediently, gently dropping its cargo on the ground. As Leonard looks on impassively, the squad leader jumps back in utter disbelief. The wolf's delivery is the unconscious form of number 3. The leader of Squad C-438 is stunned to see the high-ranking trainee so battered, but relieved to see she still has her badge, meaning she can survive the exercise. He glances from the terrifying wolf to its even more terrifying master, unsure which one is scarier. Leonard examines number 3's wounds, noting how deep they are and pondering what could have brought down such a strong fighter. Maybe number 1? He kneels beside her and then turns to 438, asking if he's truly determined not to drop out. When the leader confirms his resolve, Leonard offers them a deal. He'll leave their badges alone and give them the bear carcass for food. Overjoyed at this unexpected turn of events, 438 enthusiastically agrees. As he prepares to leave with his wolf and the injured number 3, Leonard gives the squad one last piece of advice: not to get too hung up on their ranks. Their leader finally concludes that number 25 must be a good guy after all. Leonard overhears this, a bead of sweat running down his face. He feels like they're completely misunderstanding his character. Later that night, back in the safety of Leonard's cave, number 3 finally awakens. She sits up, confused and disoriented, trying to figure out where she is. She's surprised to find her injured arm has been carefully bandaged. A voice from across the campfire asks if she's awake. She spots Leonard's silhouette and immediately goes on the offensive. Fueled by adrenaline and suspicion, she launches a powerful kick without a moment's hesitation. Leonard effortlessly blocks her attack, coolly noting that her legs seem to be working just fine. He advises her to conserve her strength and rest. Ignoring him, she furiously demands her badge back. Leonard simply gives her a blank stare. He then casually points to her collar. She looks down to see her number 3 badge, still safely attached to her uniform. Still on guard, she concedes that she appreciates him saving her, but she won't hand over her badge. Leonard sighs, reiterating that he never intended to take it in the first place. He then offers her a skewer of freshly cooked meat, telling her to sit and eat. The unexpected act of kindness leaves her completely dumbfounded. He insists, telling her not to be shy. She hesitantly accepts the food, murmuring a quiet thank you. As she eats, he remarks that a kid shouldn't have to go hungry. He then asks what happened to her and Squad C. The memory brings a grimace to her face as she recalls the traumatic event. She explains it wasn't a monster, but something far more brutal. Squad A ambushed them just after they set up their base and wiped them all out. She blames herself, feeling like a disgrace of a leader for failing to protect her team. Leonard listens intently, telling her that while she's strong, group battles are a different beast, especially against a coordinated foe. He knows that number 1 William is a master of tactics like suppression and surprise attacks, something most trainees lack experience in. He asks if it was number 1 who gave her the injury on her arm. She confirms it, admitting that William is on a whole other level of strength compared to anyone else. The bitter humiliation of being defeated without landing a single blow reignites the fire in her eyes. Leonard smirks, seeing that her fighting spirit is far from broken. Internally, he acknowledges her potential, thinking she'll become a fine warrior one day. As his direwolf sleeps peacefully nearby, Leonard assesses the overall state of the exercise, concluding that the alliance between squads B and D is doomed to fail. Number 3 is surprised, thinking their combined numbers should give them a fighting chance. Leonard breaks down the reality of the situation. Squad A's morale is sky high after their first victory, a psychological advantage that can overcome a numerical one. A surprise attack is their only viable strategy. However, he is certain that a cunning strategist like William has already anticipated such a move and prepared countermeasures. Number 3 is appalled, questioning why William is being so ruthless in what is supposed to be a training exercise. She then suggests they could try to target Squad A's weak point. Leonard explains that Squad A doesn't have a conventional weak point. Their entire strategy and unity hinge on one person. He pictures the battlefield as a chessboard, where he and she are players contemplating their next move against a powerful king. Because their central pillar, William, is overwhelmingly strong, the entire squad can act with decisive speed and cohesion. But if that pillar were to be removed from the board, the rest of the squad would instantly collapse into a disorganized and vulnerable mob. With the calm and steady gaze, Leonard tells her to put her trust in him and join his team. His confidence is startling, leaving her momentarily speechless. A spark of hope ignites within her. With a new sense of purpose, she declares that in that case, she should start calling him captain. The scene shifts to the forces of Squad A and their allies led by number 1. Number 5 reports that their opponents are late, but William remains unbothered. He smirks, confident that time is on their side, and victory is all but guaranteed. Suddenly, William's sharp senses pick up a hidden presence in the surrounding forest. He raises a hand, halting his entire squad in their tracks. With a commanding shout, he orders the ambushers to prepare for battle. He taunts the unseen foes, telling them to stop hiding. Knowing their plan has been discovered, he advises them that surrender would be the smarter move. From the trees emerges the combined force of squads B and D, ready for a fight. Their leader, number 2, acknowledges that William's senses are as sharp as a lion's. William simply looks on, unimpressed by their surprise appearance. Walking alongside her is the number 4. They approach William's group with smug confidence. Number 4 scoffs at their opponents, dismissing their feeble schemes as unworthy of discussion. William glares at the 2 leaders of the opposing alliance, telling them they are disgraces of his family name. Her verbal assault continues, leaving the opposing leader utterly incensed. Number 2 chimes in, comparing his rival to a showy peacock. Enraged, William roars back that what they see is dignity, before launching himself into a furious attack. Number 2 and 4 also leaps. A flurry of strikes ensues, but William easily parries their clumsy assault. The second in command of Allied forces rallies his troops, ordering them to fortify their defenses against the onslaught. Squad A braces for impact, meeting the charge head-on. The battlefield descends into a chaotic melee as the two massive groups collide. Meanwhile, a high-stakes fight unfolds between the leaders. Despite her rank, she finds herself completely outmatched. William's speed is overwhelming, and every blow he lands is bone-jarringly heavy. Her special eyes ability, which allows her to predict movements, can't even keep up with his blindingly fast attacks. She grits her teeth, wondering what kind of special trait is he hiding. In a flash, number 4 descends onto the William with a single strike. But William catches his descending sword with his bare hand, an aura of crackling blue energy protecting his palm. He mockingly asks if they really came to face him with such cheap tricks. With a surge of power, he sends a concussive blast into number 4's stomach, incapacitating him instantly. Spotting a momentary opening in William's stance, number 2 lunges forward to strike his blind spot. But at the last second, her eyes widen in horror. She can see the subtle shift in his muscles. She realizes her fatal mistake. It wasn't an opening, it was a trap. He pivots with lightning speed, turning the tables on her in an instant. He unleashes a powerful counterattack, striking her down before she can react. As she falls, he condescendingly admits she's better than number 4, at least. But he scolds her for noticing his plan far too late, revealing the imperfection in her predictive eyes. In a chilling comparison, she remarks that his movements seem sluggish, unlike those of number 25. She lets out a scream as the force of the blow sends her sprawling to the ground. Helpless and defeated, she can only kneel before his overwhelming power. William stands over her, declaring that for all her big talk, she wasn't much of a challenge. He states that her lot never stood a chance. With his victory seemingly secured, he proclaims that he will be the one to win the entire exercise. But a calm voice cuts through his moment of triumph, telling him he's jumping to conclusions. It's Leonard. He casually strolls into the clearing, dragging the unconscious body of number 5 by the collar. William and the defeated number 2 stare in shock at his sudden and dramatic appearance. Leonard nonchalantly drops number 5's limp body onto the ground. William is furious, demanding to know what a lone wolf like Leonard is doing there. Leonard coolly explains that he's just returning the favor for what Squad A did to his squad. William erupts, yelling that it's ridiculous, that a pariah like Leonard doesn't even have a squad. With a faint smile, Leonard admits that at first, he didn't. He tells the arrogant number 1 to simply look. As a vision of another battle flashes before William's eyes, he sees the once cowardly Squad E, now fighting with the ferocity of cornered beasts. Their eyes burn with determination as they overwhelm their opponents, with 438 proudly holding up a captured badge. The scene flashes back to earlier, with Squad E joyously celebrating around the massive bear carcass Leonard had gifted them. They cheer his name, their morale at an all-time high thanks to his generosity and protection. Just then, Leonard appears before them, with the newly recruited number 3 by his side. 438 flinches, fearing Leonard has come to take back the food. But Leonard simply extends a hand, offering them an alliance. The squad leader hesitates, claiming his weak team would only hold Leonard back. Leonard reminds him of his earlier advice, not to get hung up on their numbers. He tells them that since they all received the same Cardenas training, their ranks are nothing but meaningless name tags. To prove his point, he explains that everyone in the Cardenas family has the potential for greatness. The only real difference is that a small handful have awakened special traits, but their fundamental strength isn't that different. He points to number 3, a girl from a collateral line who achieved her high rank through sheer effort. He then points to himself, a warrior who clawed his way up from the bottom ranks to number 25. Their leader shouts back, insisting their problem isn't just about strength. His voice cracks with desperation and a deep-seated lack of confidence. But Leonard cuts him off, looking at the dejected squad with intensity. He tells them that what they're truly missing is the heart and courage to believe in themselves. He asks them a simple question. Have you ever truly pushed past your limits and gone all in? If you can't believe in yourselves, then I'll believe in you instead. You guys can win. With a final, charismatic offer, he extends his hand, formally proposing that as the newly formed Squad F, they team up and take down number 1 together. Back in the present, inspired to their very core, the squad erupts in a battle cry. Number 3 stands atop a rock, rallying her new comrades to seize victory for the man who believed in them. William looks on in disgust as this ragtag team charges his forces. He sneers at number 3, questioning her shame for siding with weaklings. Number 3 glares back, proudly declaring that the only weaklings she sees are William's crew. She boasts about Leonard's power, recounting how he effortlessly blocked her kick and possesses movements far sharper than William's. William's face twists in rage at the comparison. Leonard points out to William that just because he's strong doesn't mean his squad is. The tables have completely turned. Squad F celebrates as they take down another member of Squad A. Number 2 lets out a small laugh, finding the situation amusing. Then she raises her hand in surrender, asking to join Squad F. Number 4, laughing, agrees. He'd much rather join the winning side than lose to a guy he can't stand. William stares, absolutely livid at this ultimate betrayal. He roars at them, calling them traitors with no pride as members of the Cardenas family. Leonard calmly tells him to stop being stubborn and just admit defeat. Pushed beyond his breaking point, William grits his teeth, his pride refusing to accept this outcome. He points his sword at Leonard, issuing a final, desperate challenge. He stakes the outcome for all of Squad A and Squad F on a duel between him and Leonard. He dares that he'll personally hew him the gap between their strength. Leonard lets out a small smirk, saying that's what he had on his mind from the start. He accepts the duel, and flares up his golden aura. From a distance, the instructors watch the holographic projection, noting that the one-on-one duel between number 1 and number 25 would essentially decide the entire training exercise. The question on everyone's mind is whether the established number 1 would win, as expected, or if this new rising talent Leonard could pull off an incredible upset. With no time wasted, the two warriors clash, their weapons meeting with a deafening ring of steel. William unleashes a flurry of powerful, straightforward strikes, each packed with overwhelming destructive force. Leonard struggled to withstand these attacks. William is still a trainee, yet his combat sense is already highly developed. While William's strikes are powerful, his movements are simple and easy to read. But to his shock, William counterattacked from an angle no one would anticipate. He realizes, so this is how number 2 was defeated. The head instructor watches on, impressed by Leonard's insight. He praises Leonard for seeing through number 1's technique in such a short amount of time. He finds it unbelievable that someone supposedly without a special trait could accomplish what even number 2 and her predictive eyes couldn't. As their auras collide, Leonard confirms his suspicion about William's power. It's revealed that number 1's special trait is telekinesis. This invisible, formless power allows William to reinforce both his arms and blade, generating absurd destructive force from impossible angles. It's a power that defies common sense, making William an incredibly formidable foe. He can even stop a blade's edge with his bare hands, assuming a trainee wouldn't be able to swing from such an awkward position. By pouring his telekinetic force into his arms and sword, he unleashes pure, unadulterated power. Leonard is forced onto the defensive, blocking another devastating blow. Leonard compliments his opponent's impressiveness for his age. Suddenly, William's smug expression vanishes. He realizes in shock that Leonard has figured out the secret of his power. But there's another surprise in store for him. He feels a surge of power from Leonard, realizing he was hiding his true strength as well. Enraged, William demands to know why Leonard hid his true power until now. Leonard declares he will answer with his sword, as a proper heir of a sword clan should. William grins, accepting the challenge. This is the kind of fight he's been waiting for. William immediately unleashes another telekinetic attack, one with even more power than before. The attack carves a massive trench in the ground, a testament to the fact that number 1 didn't get his rank for nothing. William challenges Leonard, telling him he understands what this next attack means, and warning him not to hold back. Leonard replies with cool confidence, telling William to show him what he can really do. Leonard's response is simple. He'll gladly show him exactly what he asked for. Leonard reflects on his current state. In his weakened body, he can't draw out the same power he once had. He also can't afford to stand out by using any strange external forces. So with the power he currently possesses, he knows exactly what he must do. He just needs to run. William unleashes a massive wave of telekinetic energy. William is taken aback, taunting that Leonard is good at running. Leonard effortlessly weaves through the onslaught of attacks. Frustrated, William gathers his power for an even bigger attack. The resulting blast obliterates a massive tree. The shockwave sends Leonard flying, but it's clear he avoided the brunt of the attack. Watching from the sidelines, number 2 finally understands why she couldn't read William's movements clearly. She explains that number 1 has been using his telekinetic power to actively hide his trait from her predictive sight. Number 4 cries foul, calling it cheating. But number 3 points out that despite this, Leonard is dodging everything. In fact, she muses that the one hiding his strength, Leonard, seems like the truly unfair one here. But one of the other spectators notices something crucial. He points out that Leonard is slowly but surely closing the distance between them. The head instructor confirms this, adding that Leonard is intentionally making it look like he's running circles around William so his opponent won't notice. Leonard is like a predator, leisurely tightening the noose around his unsuspecting prey. He's steadily closing in, and before William can react, Leonard is in striking range. A stunned William can only ask when he got so close. With a confident smirk, Leonard simply declares his victory. The powerful blow sends a shockwave through William's body. The arrogant number 1 is launched into the air, completely defeated. His face is a mask of disbelief. He can't comprehend that he, number 1, has lost. He can't accept losing to someone ranked so far beneath him. The impact of William's fall shakes the entire forest, startling the birds from the trees. In that moment, William is forced to confront a terrifying vision. He's not just facing defeat in a training exercise. He's facing the very concept of death itself. The vision fades, and he finds Leonard's sword pressed against his head. The duel decisively over. A beaten and humbled William lets out a dry chuckle. He finally admits his loss. The onlookers are stunned into silence. Their new leader actually won. Even the head instructor can't hide his surprise, admitting he never imagined he'd witness such an outcome. William thanks Leonard, explaining that he feels like a great weight has been lifted from his shoulders. Leonard looks at him, confused by the sudden change in demeanor. William explains that his father's overbearing method of raising him and the constant pressure to be the strongest had been a heavy burden. But now, that entire belief system has been completely shattered by his defeat. William extends a hand to his former rival, acknowledging that it was a good fight. Leonard lets out a sigh of relief. He accepts the handshake, congratulating William on a hard-fought battle. Back at the command tent, the instructors are still trying to process the unbelievable result. Number 1 lost, and Squad E, of all people, managed to rally the others. Even the former members of Squad A can't believe it, having put their faith in Number 1 for so long. The head instructor, however, sees the bigger picture. He declares that while the result was unexpected, it was also a huge gain for them all. With this, the outdoor training exercise is officially over. The members of Squad F erupt in celebration, hoisting their new leader into the air. Even Number 4 and 2 admit they were genuinely surprised by Squad F's performance. Recruiting all the so-called small fry just to bring down Squad A was a brilliant, albeit risky, strategy. The instructor notes with satisfaction that Leonard understood the true intent behind the training exercise perfectly. The head instructor gives a new order. Once everyone calms down, they are to prepare to head back. He also instructs his subordinate to send word to the main house. The message is clear and ominous. The time has come for the blood awakening ceremony. The training exercise is over, but before leaving, Leonard has one last goodbye to say. He gently pets the giant wolf, telling it he has to leave tomorrow. He explains that unfortunately, he can't take the wolf with him. The majestic beast's ears droop, and it lets out a sad whine. Leonard smiles softly, acknowledging that parting hurts for him too. Under the light of the full moon, the two share a quiet moment, a silent promise between man and beast. Leonard reaffirms that he's sorry, but this isn't a final farewell. Leonard promises he'll get stronger and come back for his furry companion. The wolf's spirits lift instantly, its tail wagging as it lets out a happy bark. Leonard turns to leave, telling the wolf to make sure it gets strong enough to keep up with him too. As Leonard walks away, the wolf howls to the moon. The scene shifts to a luxurious carriage heading back from the training grounds. Inside, Leonard sits across from his former rival, William, both silent. He's surprised to find the carriage filled with the top-ranking trainees, including numbers 2, 3, and 4. Number 3 chimes in, saying she's just following her new captain, Leonard. Number 2 adds that as the guest of honor, of course she'd ride in this carriage. And Number 4 smugly reminds Leonard that he surrendered and joined his squad, so he has every right to be here. William can only look on, visibly annoyed at the circus his carriage has become. William announces he just wants to talk to the guy who rocketed from rank 381 to 1 in a single month. He then turns to Leonard, having something important to discuss. Number 3 scoffs, asking William if Leonard hit him on the head too many times, because he seems to have changed a lot. William snaps back at her to shut it. He has important information for everyone. He explains that, starting tomorrow, their supplies will be based on their performance. After that, as true heirs of Cardenas, they'll enter a new phase of training. But before any of that, they must undergo the blood awakening ceremony. This ceremony is a special ritual to awaken a unique organ that only those with the Cardenas bloodline possess. Number 4 realizes this is why their initial training was so basic. It was all just a prelude to awakening their true potential. As the carriage rumbles on, William explains that awakening this organ will allow them to control mana far more freely. This awakening is the first true step on their path, after which they will join a special unit, the Young Dragon Knight Order. Leonard finds this curious, as he's never heard of such an order. William clarifies that it's not public information. It's an elite order focused on practical, real combat training for the next generation. Number 2 adds that each trainee gets a personalized curriculum to maximize their growth. Leonard asks if this means trainees are sorted by their quote-quote special organs, and he confirms they are. These organs are more accurately called mana cores, and each person has a different number and set of elemental attributes. Number 3 mentions the rumor that the Cardenas family has dragon blood, which might explain their unique abilities. The key, however, is the number of cores. In the world of mana, less is more. Having a single pure core is considered the absolute best. Leonard puffs out his chest, confidently declaring that he is, without a doubt, a rare single-core user. His smug declaration is met with an eye roll from William and giggles from the girls. Number 2 playfully tells him not to be so full of himself, as single-core users only appear once in a decade. But Leonard is lost in thought, the concept of mana cores reminding him of the 5 elements from his past life. He realizes that if the principles are the same, there could be up to 5 cores in total. Number 2 explains the harsh reality of multiple cores. Each one exponentially increases the resources needed for training, making progress incredibly difficult. An infographic illustrates the point. While training a single core needs 1 unit of resources, a dual core needs 4, a triple core 9, and a pentacore a staggering 25 times the resources, thus reducing the efficiency. Seeing how he doesn't have a clue, they asks didn't he learn this in theory class. The others joke that with Leonard's raw combat power, he probably doesn't need to worry about theory. Leonard, however, sees an opportunity. If the training methods from his past life still apply here, he has a path forward. He asks hypothetically if a fully trained pentacore user would be the strongest. Number 4 concedes it's true in theory but practically impossible due to the resource requirements. Most consider having multiple cores a disadvantage, with dual or triple cores being the safest and most efficient path to power. Back in the present assessment, he's revealed to be a pentacore, a genius with the sword, who didn't inherit the bloodline talent. He stands alone in a grand hall, reflecting on his situation. He had hoped to lie low, but his victory has drawn a different kind of attention. A determined glint appears in his eyes. He has a new plan. Suddenly he stops. A powerful presence has just arrived. He's attacked with a blur of silent, which he sidesteps. He turns around to see who it is. A man in ornate armor emerges from the shadows. It's Fabian, the commander of the Young Dragon Knight Order. The man states that to see such a level of swordsmanship from someone so young, without even a hint of battle aura, is truly remarkable. Leonard calmly replies that he believes true martial skill comes from the heart and body, not from relying on an external power like aura. The commander lets out a booming laugh, clearly impressed by the boy's conviction. He declares that he likes Leonard's attitude, and the rumors about him don't do him justice. Fabian formally introduces himself as a Swordmaster and gives Leonard his word. He judges him worthy of top-grade status and will personally guarantee his treatment. An attendant quietly informs the commander that the Blood Awakening ceremony revealed Leonard to be a pentacore, typically a sign of low potential. Fabian dismisses the concern, proclaiming that the number of cores is a trivial detail. When you find talent, you invest in it fully. He turns back to Leonard and hands him a dimensional bag, telling him it's packed with supplies for his journey. As a special privilege for his top-grade status, Fabian offers Leonard a choice that no other trainee gets. He can pick his own training ground. Before him lies a massive hall filled with glowing doorways, each leading to a different, specialized training environment. Leonard looks past the dazzling options and asks a simple question. Where can I get the resources to match my strength? The commander grins, delighted by the boy's ambition. He slaps Leonard heartily on the back, declaring that anyone who shies away from hardship isn't worthy of being called a warrior. He points towards a single, ominous-looking door pulsing with dark energy. His destination, Carabagos. Carabagos is the most remote and dangerous island in the Empire, a place so brutal it makes newly promoted knights weep. It's an untamed wilderness, home to monstrous beasts, and so dangerous that parts of it are considered demonic realms. With a devilish smile, Fabian asks if it sounds fun. Leonard accepts without hesitation. While others see pentacores as a curse, he knows the truth from his past life. The 5 elements are one flow, one whole. With the right training, he can raise all 5 cores together, giving him the perfect chance to surpass his former self. With the commander's blessing, Leonard, now equipped with his new gear, steps through the portal. He finds himself in a dense, eerily quiet forest. This is Carabagos. As he takes his first steps into the wilderness, he marvels at the absolute silence. But the silence is broken as a hand clamps down on his shoulder. A huge, scarred man appears out of nowhere, greeting him as the trainee he's been hearing so much about. Leonard bows respectfully to the imposing man before him, who introduces himself as Bradley. Bradley is a senior knight of the Young Dragon Knight Order, and the man in charge of this brutal island. He leads Leonard through the woods, offering some words of advice for the new trainee. Bradley explains that while everyone here is a trainee knight, he should at least pretend to respect his seniors. However, he adds with a knowing look that there is a rule preventing second years from interfering with the first years' training. Leonard nods, silently absorbing the information about his new environment and the challenges ahead. The island of Carabagos is vast and untamed, a perfect, brutal place for a warrior to be forged in fire. Bradley brings him to a small, secluded cabin, which he explains will be Leonard's new home. While he'll have to fend for himself for food and supplies, this lodging is a special perk for the top-ranked trainee. Bradley smiles wryly, explaining the basics are now covered, and it's time for the real work to begin. Inside the Spartan cabin, Leonard asks for more details about his training schedule. Bradley lays it out. For the first 6 months, he'll be under his direct protection and support. During that time, he will only step in to stop others from interfering. Leonard, ever the pragmatist, cuts to the chase, asking if killing is forbidden. Bradley confirms it is. Satisfied, Leonard has one last question. He wants to know the value of the resources he received from the commander. He opens his dimensional bag, and Bradley's jaw nearly hits the floor at the sight of the treasure trove inside. The bag is overflowing with 3,000 low-grade spirit stones and hundreds of elemental elixirs. Bradley is stunned, murmuring that not even the heirs from the direct bloodline receive such a generous package. The commander must have taken a serious liking to this kid. Playing dumb, Leonard asks what spirit stones are. Bradley explains they are mana-infused ore used for cultivation. He estimates that this amount is enough to skyrocket a normal trainee to the peak, and even a pentacore like Leonard could reach a respectable stage 5. At the mention of stages, Bradley decides it's time for a lesson on this world's power system. He explains that a warrior's journey is divided into 5 major realms, each containing 10 minor stages. The first is the body tempering realm, where one strengthens their physical body and expands their internal mana reserves. Next is the external force realm, where a warrior learns to project their honed mana outwards as a powerful battle aura. The third realm is Transcendence, a unique stage where a warrior refines their own personal combat style, making it different for every individual. The fourth is the legendary half-god realm, where one's spirit becomes so powerful it can influence the physical world itself. And the final, almost mythical level is the divinity realm, where a warrior transcends their humanity entirely. Sitting cross-legged, Leonard listens intently as Bradley outlines the path he must now walk. Bradley reveals that only the founder of their house, the Great Cardenas, has ever reached the divinity realm. His demeanor darkens as he scoffs at those who call the founder a mere legend. He explodes with righteous fury, declaring that without the founder slaying the evil dragon, they would all be nothing more than slaves. Composing himself, he tells Leonard, "That's enough history for now. It's time to begin." The first step on this long road is mana cultivation, using the resources to expand his mana hole. Bradley tells him to simply absorb the energy from the stones, adding with a smirk that it's a simple process. With a final, casual, "Good luck," he turns and walks out, slamming the door shut behind him. Leonard is left alone in the quiet cabin, puzzled by his mentor's abrupt departure. He looks at the pile of spirit stones, contemplating the seemingly simple instruction to absorb them. He picks up a single stone. For most, absorbing this energy is a slow and difficult process, the primary bottleneck in their training. But for Leonard, it's a different story. After all, he's already mastered this very technique in his previous life as the peerless Sword Emperor. He begins the absorption process, but even he is surprised by the result. His arm pulses with power, veins bulging as the mana floods his 5 cores. In just a few short hours, he shatters all expectations, reaching stage 3 of the body-tempering realm. He collapses onto the floor, exhausted but exhilarated. With his past life's knowledge, this training is almost too easy. His understanding of the 5 elements perfectly complements his pentacore body, making absorption a trivial task. A sly look crosses his face. He realizes that progressing this quickly would raise far too much suspicion. He recalls the commander's high expectations, viewing him as a once-in-a-generation genius. He decides to play the part, using this secluded time to not just cultivate, but to remaster the powerful techniques from his past. A month and a half later, a group of trainees gathers outside Leonard's cabin. They murmur amongst themselves, noting how the famous rookie has been holed up for ages. One of them scoffs, assuming Leonard is still struggling to reach stage 5, what they consider the bare minimum for survival on this hellish island. The others bicker, worried about their own dwindling supplies and comparing their pathetic strength to that of goblins and orcs. On Carabagos, being orc level means you're just slightly tougher prey for the island's real monsters. Just as their complaining reaches a fever pitch, the sound of a door creaks open. A gust of wind carrying the scent of raw power blows as the cabin door swings wide. Leonard emerges, his training finally complete. He seeks out Bradley, declaring that his training is done, and he now requires a real sword. In a sun-dappled clearing, Bradley questions the rookie's sudden and confident demand for a live blade. Leonard calmly states that, after his power-up, he needs to acclimate himself to a real weapon instead of a wooden practice sword. Bradley finds his confidence bordering on arrogance, but Leonard is done talking. He channels his newly strengthened mana into his fists and breaks a giant rock. Bradley is utterly stunned. The raw power radiating from Leonard is on a completely different level. He can't comprehend how a pentacore, considered the weakest type, managed to reach stage 3 in just over a month. But his shock quickly turns to a cold fury. An immense blood-red aura explodes from his body. He looms over Leonard, his eyes glowing with menace, warning the trainee not to get ahead of himself. Leonard is taken aback, bracing himself for an attack from the overwhelmingly powerful senior knight. But just as the pressure reaches its peak, Bradley's menacing aura vanishes. He casually tosses a sword at Leonard's feet. It was all a test of his nerve. Bradley smirks, telling him not to do anything reckless with his new toy. Leonard blinks, surprised by the sudden shift, but quickly recovers and offers his sincere thanks. Bradley adds one final, chilling warning, casually twirling a high-grade spirit stone between his fingers. If Leonard loses or breaks that sword, he'll be paying for it in a way he won't enjoy. With a final wave, the senior knight leaves Leonard to his own devices, a new mission ahead of him. Now, properly armed with a live blade, Leonard unfolds a weathered map of the island. His eyes lock onto a particularly dangerous-looking area, a place marked with a skull and crossbones. His destination is set. It's time to put his new strength to the test in the Forest of Remnants. His first challenge appears in the form of Ranky 2 hobgoblins, who shamble out of the mist, their yellow eyes glowing with malice. The creatures catch the scent of blood from Leonard's previous kills, a trail of carnage that leads right to him. The hobgoblin in the lead freezes, its primitive brain struggling to comprehend the overwhelming aura of the warrior standing before it. He tells the terrified hobgoblins he'll make it quick for them, a promise of swift oblivion. A brilliant flash of blue mana erupts from his blade as he unleashes a whirlwind of slashes, far too fast for the monsters to even see. As the last hobgoblin falls, its body begins to disintegrate, its life force condensing into a single glowing crystal. The Spirit Stone, a manifestation of the monster's mana, floats gently into Leonard's waiting hand. After a day of hunting, he has a decent haul of about 100 low-grade stones. It's a start, but he realizes he won't achieve significant growth by just farming these low-level creatures. More goblins foolishly charge at him, but Leonard simply scoffs, dismissing them as nothing more than E-rank small fry, barely worth his time. Suddenly, his senses heighten. A new scent drifts on the wind, far more potent and menacing than anything he's faced so far. He recognizes the scent. It's a gnoll. Leonard grips the hilt of his sword. The beast's aura washes over the clearing, but Leonard stands his ground, a smirk playing on his lips. This gnoll is underestimating him, and that will be its final mistake. With a challenging glare, he tells the unseen beast not to howl at him like some common animal. In response to the taunt, a massive, muscular wolf-like creature bursts through the trees, roaring in fury. Towering over him, the drooling gnoll brandishes a colossal battle axe, its eyes crackling with raw power. He dodges a devastating downward swing, the axe shattering the ground where he just stood. The former Sword Emperor calmly analyzes the fight. A normal gnoll wouldn't possess this level of raw, destructive power. He comments on the beast's surprising skill, noting how simply changing the trajectory of its swing amplifies its power. With a sneer, he calls the creature a mangy mutt and prepares for a proper fight. Leonard's mind works quickly, assessing the situation. Just a simple dodge isn't enough. This monster is a real threat. The gnoll's muscles bulge with power as it winds up for another bone-crushing strike. With a calm, analytical gaze, Leonard observes the monster's every move. He recalls the monster ranking system. Goblins evolve into E2 hobgoblins, but a standard gnoll is only ranked D1. This beast's power far exceeds that. It must be a doubly awakened variant. A system window materializes, identifying the foe. An ad gnoll, a terrifying rank D3 monster. Faced with a creature that would send any other trainee running for their life, Leonard simply smiles. Finally, some decent training. The Adnol lets out a furious roar and charges, its axe, a blur of motion aimed right for Leonard's head. Leonard dodges the attack, his boot landing softly on the monster. He scoffs at the sloppy attack. Effortlessly weaving past the gnoll's wild swings, he finds an opening and lands a clean strike against its tough hide. Sparks fly as his blade grinds against the monster's hardened skin. This thing is built like a tank. The Adnol slams its axe into the earth, but the weapon gets stuck for a split second, creating the perfect opening. Leonard knows his sword alone might not be enough to pierce the beast's tough muscles and bones, so he changes tactics. He reminds the beast that while its body might be tough, its jaw is still a weak point. Before the Adnol can react, Leonard plummets his sword into the jaw of the monster. The battle is over in an instant. Leonard stands over the fallen beast. The monster's body disintegrates, a shimmering crystal materializes. It's a mid-grade spirit stone. He picks it up, realizing it's worth 100 of the low-grade stones he's been collecting. This forest is a treasure trove. If he wants to grow strong fast, this is the place to be. With his hunt concluded for the day, Leonard turns and walks away from the clearing. Back at his secluded cabin, a brilliant blue light emanates from within, as Leonard begins his next phase of training. He sits in deep meditation, his aura pulsing with power, as he absorbs the energy from the spirit stones. To his own mild surprise, he finds he's already reached stage 10 of the body tempering realm, the peak of the first realm. This rate of progress is unheard of. For a pentacore like him to break through the entire first realm in just a few months would raise too many questions and cause a lot of trouble. Meanwhile, it's been 3 months after his arrival. A group of trainees approaches his cabin with caution. It's the same group as before. He explains that befriending the #1 rookie, who clearly has the commander's favor, is a golden opportunity. He explains that one connection with Cardenas' noble sword clan is worth more than some half-baked noble family tie. With a hard shove, he pushes the reluctant trainee Hayden forward, telling him to just go say hello. Clutching a bucket of fish as a peace offering, Hayden nervously approaches the silent cabin. He calls out, asking if the rookie is still alive. Getting no response, he tells his friends they should just leave. But inside, Leonard has been watching the entire time. He notes that, for all their posturing, they seem to be decent seniors, actually concerned for his well-being. Seeing Hayden's face clearly through the gap gives him a brilliant idea for his problem of growing too fast. He hatches a plan. If the prodigious rookie Leonard shows impossible gains, it will attract unwanted attention. However, if a down-on-his-luck senior who's been stuck on the island for a decade suddenly improves, no one would think twice. He sits down, preparing to use a long-forgotten technique from his past life as the Sword Emperor. He begins to channel his mana, performing a complex art known as reverse craft, a disguise technique that alters one's facial muscles and pulse. His face contorts as the mana reshapes his features, a painful process he hasn't needed to endure for centuries. He finds it deeply ironic that he's now using this ultimate stealth technique not for assassination or infiltration, but simply to hide his own overwhelming strength. The transformation completes. He opens his eyes, a new face staring back at his reflection. He has successfully taken on the appearance of the senior trainee, Hayden. With this disguise, he can finally train and gather resources without anyone noticing his true, monstrous growth rate. 3 months have passed since Leonard began his training. He's now ventured into the dangerous Bone Mountain Swamp, a place far deadlier than the forest he started in. He's learned a crucial survival rule in this treacherous land: always erase your presence. The creatures here are venomous and masters of stealth. A moment's carelessness could mean being devoured by a lizard man lurking just beneath the murky surface. He senses multiple targets. A normal lizard man is a rank C monster, even tougher than the abnormal Adnol he fought before. Knowing there's one below, he plans to end it in a single, decisive strike. He launches himself with explosive force. Leaping from the branch like a predator, he descends upon his unsuspecting prey with lethal grace. With a brilliant flash of his blade, he executes the it in one fluid motion. The creatures disintegrates into spirit stones as it fall. Just then he feels his body thrumming with energy. He's on the verge of a breakthrough. He recalls his plan. Using his reverse craft technique, he's been training under the guise of the senior trainee, Hayden, to avoid suspicion. However, breaking through to the next major realm will release a massive, uncontrollable explosion of mana. There's no way he can hide an event of that magnitude. He needs a secluded spot, a place where he can suppress the resulting mana explosion and remain hidden from any prying eyes. He pushes deeper into the untamed wilderness, searching for the perfect, isolated location to ascend to the next level. Suddenly, he stops. Through the trees, he spots something completely unexpected in this desolate swamp. He stumbled upon a hidden clearing. In front of a cave lies a meticulously tended field, glowing with a soft, ethereal light. These aren't just any plants, they are spirit clouds, rare herbs that absorb mana far more efficiently than even mid-grade spirit stones. Leonard quickly deduces that such a field must be tended by the cave's guardian, a powerful troll. The troll grunts, its senses sharp enough to detect an intruder, its eyes narrowing with suspicion. Leonard watches from the shadows, sensing not one, but 2 powerful auras converging on this spot. The troll squares its stance, letting out a low growl as it prepares for a confrontation. A beast wreathed in lightning bursts from the trees. It's a lycanthrope, another powerful monster native to this region. It seems the 2 monsters are having a territory dispute, and Leonard has arrived right in the middle of it. The lycanthrope summons crackling bolts of lightning from the sky, shaking the very ground with its elemental power. Leonard is genuinely surprised. He notes that even monsters at this level can harness the raw power of nature. Not to be outdone, the troll counters by ripping tons of earth and stone from the ground with sheer brute force. The lycanthrope is incredibly agile, weaving through the air and easily dodging the lightning-fast barrage of rocks. They're evenly matched, neither one giving an inch. Leonard realizes this fight isn't going to end quickly. Leonard sees his chance. With them completely distracted by their battle, he realizes he can slip past them and explore the cave they're fighting over. He reasons that if a troll this powerful is guarding a field of spirit herbs, there must be an even greater treasure hidden inside. Seizing the opportunity, he stealthily makes his way toward the mouth of the cave. He steps inside, and the deafening sounds of the furious battle outside are immediately muffled to nothing. He thinks it's the perfect place to attempt his breakthrough. But as he ventures deeper, he's struck by a profound sense of wonder, an energy unlike anything he's felt before. The cavern opens up to reveal a breathtaking sight, a magnificent, golden tree pulsing with an immense amount of pure energy. He sees that all around the base of the tree are mid-grade spirit herbs, even more potent than the ones being cultivated outside. But something feels off. With this much concentrated mana in one place, he should have been able to sense it from miles away. He reaches out with his own mana to investigate the strange phenomenon, and discovers a powerful, invisible barrier protecting the entire area, hiding its energy from the outside world. He smirks, understanding now how this incredible treasure has remained hidden for so long. Everything about this place is an enigma, but the most mysterious of all is the golden tree at its heart. He's heard of spirit herbs, but a spirit tree? This is on a whole other level entirely. He suspects the tree is high grade, or perhaps even a legendary treasure beyond that. The troll outside likely has no idea what it's truly guarding. The temptation to absorb this energy and break through to the next realm is almost overwhelming, but his honed instincts scream a warning. Looks like they've got company. The troll, battered and bleeding from its fight, has returned to its lair. It seems the fight with the lycanthrope is over, and the troll has come to recuperate, using the tree's energy. Because the cave's barrier blocks all mana and sound, Leonard didn't sense its approach at all. He quickly assesses his opponent, noting the troll is heavily wounded from its battle with the lycanthrope. But even injured, the troll is a formidable opponent. It gathers its remaining strength, preparing to crush the intruder who has desecrated its sacred space. The troll smashes the ground, but instead of attacking Leonard directly, it cleverly blocks the entrance with tons of rubble, trapping him inside with it. A confident smirk plays on his lips. This suits him just fine. With the exit sealed and a treasure of immense power at his back, Leonard eagerly accepts the challenge. This will be his final test. Before his ascension, the battle begins with a thundering crash as the cave trembles. The troll, realizing it's no match for Leonard's speed, resorts to brute force. He hurls a relentless barrage of massive boulders, each one capable of crushing Leonard in an instant. The beast roars, confident that its overwhelming power will be enough to obliterate the nimble intruder. But Leonard is like a phantom, effortlessly weaving through the deadly projectiles with grace and precision. He sees through the troll's simple-minded strategy. It's a smart bastard, but not smart enough. His eyes narrow, focusing his intent into a single, lethal point. He gathers his dark mana, preparing to end this fight in one decisive blow. The troll senses the sudden shift in energy, but it's already too late. Leonard's attack finds its mark, a flash of darkness slicing through the beast. He lands, confident that the fight is over. But the troll is far from finished. To Leonard's shock, the monster doesn't even flinch. Instead, a fiery aura erupts from its body. With a deafening roar, the troll smashes its fist into the ground, unleashing a torrent of flames. The entire cave floor cracks and erupts into a sea of fire. Leonard leaps back, realizing he's severely underestimated his opponent. He understands now how the lycanthrope was defeated so easily. This troll wasn't just a mountain of muscle. It was a dual-attribute monster, commanding both earth and fire. The troll's eyes glow with primal fury. It will not allow this desecration of its sacred ground. It stomps forward, each step shaking the very foundations of the cave. The intense heat turns the cavern into an inferno, but the troll walks through it unfazed. Leonard is forced on the defensive, realizing that simply getting close to the beast is a death sentence. The heat alone could melt him in an instant. He can't win a battle of attrition. He needs to watch for a single opening and finish it in one strike. Using the cavern walls as a springboard, he circles his prey, waiting for the perfect moment. He watches its movements, analyzing its every step, every lumbering motion. And then he sees it. A slight overextension, a heavy step forward. That's his chance. Like a hawk diving on its prey, Leonard shoots forward, putting every ounce of his strength into his legs. His hits the troll's knee hard. This sensation is familiar, a thrill he hasn't felt in a long time. As the troll stumbles, he follows up with a second mana-infused slash. The beast finally topples, its massive body crashing into the fiery ground. But Leonard isn't done. He leaps into the air, reversing his grip for a final, fatal plunge. He declares the end, a promise of death for the monster that stands between him and his ascension. With a final desperate roar, the troll tries to shield itself, but it's far too late. His sword pierces straight through its chest. A death cry escapes the troll, as its life force is extinguished. Leonard lands softly, certain that the threat has been neutralized. But the battle has one final, deadly surprise. He turns to see the troll's body begin to dissolve. Not into simple spirit stones, but into something far more volatile. This isn't just a spirit stone. It's a core, overloaded with the troll's residual fire and earth mana. Before Leonard can react, the core detonates, unleashing a cataclysmic explosion. The blast engulfs the entire cave. Leonard's eyes widen in horror. He's at ground zero, with nowhere to run. He's sent flying, his body ragdolling through the air like a broken toy. He slams violently against the unyielding trunk of the golden tree, the impact shattering his bones. Coughing up blood, he collapses at the base of the tree, his body a wreck of pain and broken limbs. The magical flames from the explosion are spreading fast, threatening to burn through the entire cave, and him with it, in under 5 minutes. But in this moment of desperation, a grim smile crosses his face. With the entrance sealed, no one is coming. This absolute isolation means he can finally let go. It doesn't matter what happens here. He dumps out his entire stash of spirit stones. He knows that a successful breakthrough will instantly heal his body. It's his only way out. With no time to hesitate, he grabs a handful of the glimmering crystals. He forces the energy into his system, a desperate gamble to kickstart his ascension. He can feel the pure mana flooding his shattered mana organs, a soothing balm on his near-fatal injuries. The power of 500 stones courses through him, mending his broken body from the inside out. But it's not enough. The damage is too severe, the clock is ticking, and the flames are closing in. He crawls toward the glowing herbs at the base of the tree, his last resort. These are mid-grade spirit herbs, far more potent than any stone. He rips them from the ground and consumes them without a second thought, adding their pure energy to the raging storm within him. With the final catalyst in place, his body erupts with an uncontrollable surge of mana. Everything is finally ready. Deep within him, his 5 elemental cores spin into a frenzy, overflowing with power beyond their limits. The distinct energies begin to blur, twisting and merging into a single, unified vortex of unimaginable power. He feels a profound change, as if a new heart is being born within his chest, a new source of life and power. In an instant, his body and mana are fully restored. He has successfully broken through to the next realm. But the process doesn't stop. The mana continues to pour in, growing wilder and more violent by the second. He can only watch in awe as the energy takes shape. recognizing it as something from the age of myths, the power of a dragon. As the cataclysmic energy subsides, he notices his 5 elemental cores have merged into one, skyrocketing his power level. In a single leap, he has jumped straight to stage 3 of the external force realm. This is a feat his own seniors have failed to achieve for years, leaving them stuck at stage 2. The gap between them has now become a chasm. He looks at his hands, completely healed from the brink of death. Not only are his injuries gone, but his mana now flows faster and stronger than ever before. Clenching his fist, Leonard can feel the immense power contained within his newly forged body. The growth from a single major breakthrough is truly astounding. Still, he can't help but wonder how he survived. An explosion of that magnitude in a sealed cave should have been a death sentence. His eyes fall upon a single, glowing object hanging from the tree, and he understands. The crystal clear light that once enveloped the tree is gone. All that remains is this single radiant fruit, pulsating with immense energy. Reaching out, he realizes the overflowing spiritual energy from the tree must have shielded him from the blast. The sacred tree in its final moments protected both itself and Leonard from the pillar of fire. The fruit fits perfectly in his palm, pulsing gently as if it were alive. When he was meditating, the fruit has absorbed the residual mana in the cave, condensing all that immense power into its small form. Feeling a debt to the tree that saved his life, he carefully packs the fruit, vowing to plant its seeds somewhere safe. With his business concluded, he swiftly makes his way out of the destroyed cavern. He knows he's been gone for too long. If he doesn't hurry back, his seniors will start getting suspicious. With a single, casual strike, he shatters the massive boulder blocking the entrance, a feat that would have been impossible just hours ago. A wry smile crosses his face. He's become so strong that he can't even hold back properly. He just hopes the commotion didn't cause a big fuss. He races back, spotting the familiar wooden hut in the distance. Draped in the lycanthrope's pelt, he arrives just in time for the daily training session. But he quickly realizes that showing up in his tattered state would raise too many questions. He decides to pack up his prize and change first. He recalls his time here over the past 3 months, training diligently with the seniors. It all started one day when he came out of his hut, and the seniors saw their chance to integrate with him. A friendly senior named Ian was the first to approach the new recruit. Leonard used the opportunity to get closer. Claiming he'd hit a wall in his training, Leonard humbly asked the senior for a sparring match. Ian was taken aback by the sudden request but was intrigued by the rookie's confidence. Leonard played the part of an eager student, saying nothing would make him happier than to learn from his senior. Flattered, Ian puffs up his chest, unable to refuse such a polite request. He agrees to teach the rookie a lesson. With a smirk, Ian declares he'll show him what it means to be a true Cardenas knight. He thought he had the initiative, but before he could even process what happened, he found himself disarmed and floating in midair. The match was over in a single, decisive blow. 1 down. Without a moment's pause, Leonard moves on to the next senior, Gale, and defeats him just as easily. And then he heads for the third. His final opponent, the real Hayden, grits his teeth. He can't believe this is the level of someone who just left the training grounds. Their wooden swords clash in a flurry of strikes, but the skill gap is obvious. In a desperate move, Hayden unleashes his mana, coating his blade in a fiery aura. The other seniors yell out in shock. Using mana in a simple spar is a serious breach of etiquette. They rush to Leonard's side, worried that the mana-infused strike had seriously injured him. Hayden explains that his self-defense reflexes kicked in. Leonard looks down at his hand. It's bleeding, but the wound is minor. He realizes a valuable lesson. In this world, pure swordsmanship isn't everything. Mana changes the game completely. With a slight smile, he admits that he originally approached them just to repay the favor of using Hayden's face. But he's realized he has a lot to learn from them too. The real Hayden, flustered, asks why Leonard isn't angry about the surprise attack. Gripping his wooden sword, Leonard says he's looking forward to continuing their training. Because for the first time in a long time, sparring actually sounds like fun. The seniors are left speechless by his response, their respect for the mysterious rookie growing. Ian, seeing a chance to build connections with a future powerhouse, eagerly agrees to train with him every day. Back in the present, Ian knocks on Leonard's door. Wiping sweat from his brow, he tells Leonard that he's sorry, but they'll have to cancel training for the night. Leonard opens the door, feigning ignorance. He asks what's wrong, noting that Ian is dressed for real combat. Ian asks if he didn't hear the massive explosion from Bone Mountain Swamp. As he explains, Leonard subtly hides the faint glow of mana still radiating from his hand, feigning that he's tired. With a worried expression, Ian tells him that a near-demonic troll and a lycanthrope supposedly fought over territory there. The aftermath was brutal. The troll was found burned to a crisp, while the lycanthrope was discovered skinned alive. The Knight Commander himself has led a team to investigate the devastating scene. Ian explains that with the 2 regional bosses dead, the area is swarming with lesser monsters, so they're being deployed for a cleanup operation. Since Leonard isn't ready for a real deployment, Ian came to bring him a gift. He drops 5 new training swords at Leonard's feet, a replacement for all the ones he's broken. With a friendly thumbs up, he tells Leonard not to forget them when he becomes a famous knight. Leonard promises he won't. As Ian leaves, he gives one last warning. Stay inside tonight. because the island will be largely unprotected. Leonard understands the gravity of the situation. An incident that mobilizes the entire Night Order is no small matter, so he can't make any careless moves. But where others see danger, Leonard sees opportunity. With everyone's attention fixed on the swamp, he can finally move without restraint. He dons a cloak, deciding against using his, Hayden, disguise. It's too risky with all the knights on high alert. If he were spotted as Hayden while the real one is with the cleanup crew, it would only create a mountain of new problems. Instead, he pulls the lycanthrope skin over his shoulders. It's the perfect camouflage for his next move. With the island's defenses focused elsewhere, he's free to explore. This is a once-in-a-lifetime chance he can't pass up. It's time to venture into the uncharted territory on the other side of the training grounds. His destination, the treacherous and unexplored region known only as the Owl Plains. Stepping into the desolate Owl Plains, Leonard immediately feels a chill run down his spine. Something is watching him. From deep within the fog, he can feel a powerful killing intent locked onto him. He wonders why it hasn't attacked yet, questioning if it's being cautious or is simply scared. But it quickly grows tired of waiting. A massive shadow falls over him, shaking the very ground he stands on. A monstrous owlbear descends from the sky, its eyes glowing with malice. Leonard pulls back his hood, a smirk playing on his lips. His first challenger has arrived. He identifies the beast as the perfect level for him to test out his newfound power. Meanwhile, on the shores of Carabagos Island, a new, more sinister threat makes its landing. Under the blood-red sun, an entire fleet of ships carrying cloaked figures arrives. Their commander, the fifth Shadow of Kyrgyz, is enraged to learn that nearly half of his forces were lost in a storm at sea. With eyes burning with fury, he stares down his remaining men, a group known only as the Shadow Knight Order. He rallies his troops, their voices chanting in unison, "For Kyrgyz!" Their mission is just beginning. They've come to this island with a single purpose: to capture the Cardenas trainee knights and uncover the secrets of their so-called tainted blood. Their orders are absolute, show no mercy, even if their targets are just children. To them, the Cardenas are the root of all evil. Back in the desolate plains, the wind howls, carrying the promise of bloodshed. A lone Shadow Knight sprints across the wasteland, clearly in a panic. He curses his bad luck, having been separated from his squad in this treacherous territory. He struggles against the island's relentless A-rank monsters, wondering how many more he can take. He can't fathom why the Cardenas would send their trainees to such a hellish place. He notes an oddity. The monsters seem to be getting weaker the deeper they venture into the island. He realizes this isn't a coincidence. It's a clear path leading them straight to their target. The lone knight, however, stumbles upon another fearsome beast. He thinks it's just another owlbear, tough but manageable. He charges in, sword ready to strike the creature down. But as he gets closer, he makes a shocking discovery. The owlbear is already dead. Standing on the corpse, he realizes someone else is here. He looks around, bewildered, only to find a field littered with the bodies of slain beasts. The knight sees someone collecting the mana cores from the fallen monsters. Suddenly, a rock hurtles past his head, forcing him to dodge. He's been spotted. He whips around, demanding to know who's there, but he's met with a chilling response. Leonard steps out from the shadows. "That's my line," he says, his voice dripping with ice. The Shadow Knight is stunned, completely unprepared for another person in this wasteland. Before he can react, Leonard hits the man's throat, his hand glowing with a sinister blue aura. The knight panics, realizing his voice has been stolen. He can't even scream for help. Enraged and cornered, he unleashes his mana, coating his blade in a fiery aura. He launches a desperate, spinning attack, hoping to overwhelm this mysterious kid. Leonard faces the attack head-on, his expression calm. He senses the raw killing intent and knows this is no spar. With a casual flick of his wrist, he effortlessly parries the deadly blow. The knight's eyes go wide with disbelief. His attack was brushed aside like it was nothing. Leonard presses his advantage, forcing the assassin back with a relentless flurry of strikes. Their blades clash along the edge of a cliff, the knight growing more desperate with each passing moment. Leonard manages to land a hit, but it's stopped by a strange purple barrier emanating from the knight. A magic tool? The knight realizes this kid is more than just a talented swordsman. He decides to go all out, unleashing a secret assassination technique passed down through his order. A gleaming golden viper of pure energy forms around his blade, poised to strike a fatal blow. Leonard watches, intrigued. He calls the technique a sly and venomous style, like a viper, but then he scoffs. "It's crude," he says. "I can read your sword lines like an open book." As the viper lunges, Leonard meets it with his own blade, shattering the energy construct with ease. The knight is left sweating and breathless. His ultimate move was completely dismantled. In a final, desperate move, he activates another magic tool. Sinister purple chains erupt from the ground. He grins maniacally, thinking he's won. By sealing both Leonard and his sword, victory should be his. But his victory is short-lived. In a move that defies all logic, Leonard simply throws his sword away. "You thought I'd be helpless if you sealed my sword?" Leonard asks, mocking the knight's childish idea. He clenches his fist, and with a roar, and punches the knight, sending him flying, shattering the magical chains with his bare hands. The assassin can only watch in horror as his last hope crumbles to dust. He thinks, did this brat awakened his tainted blood already? Under the cold light of the moon, the battle is decisively over. Leonard drags his captive through the wilderness, the interrogation about to begin. The Shadow Knight is tied to a tree, completely at Leonard's mercy. All he can do is grit his teeth, the humiliation burning worse than any physical pain. He spits curses at Leonard, calling him a coward and a filthy Cardenas devil. Leonard looks almost bored by the insults, wiping a bead of sweat from his brow. He points to the assassin's pile of magic tools, asking who the real coward is. The knight explodes in a rage, screaming that any tactic is justified when dealing with the likes of the Cardenas. Leonard's patience finally snaps. He clenches his fist. "Go on, kill me if you dare," the knight screams, trying to provoke him. But Leonard is unmoved. He coldly informs his captive that he doesn't even have the right to beg for death. The knight tells him that he won't open his mouth. But on the contrary, his tirade continues, now screaming about the impure blood of the Cardenas. The phrase hits a nerve. Leonard recalls the family crest, wondering what it all means. The knight claims Leonard can't deny the sins flowing through his veins. He raves about the Cardenas clan, calling them non-human monsters who birth gifted freaks, generation after generation. Leonard looks down at the captive, his expression cold and calculating. "You seem to know a lot," he says softly. "Let's see just how much you know." Under the full moon, the interrogation continues. The captured knight, still defiant, demands answers from Leonard. He screams, questioning the Cardenas family's isolation. If their blood held no secrets, why would they hide themselves away from the world? He continues his ranting, claiming that if the Cardenas founder was truly legitimate, they would have no reason to hide. Leonard listens intently, the gears in his mind turning. Leonard turns the tables, asking if their envy for Cardenas' power and prosperity was so strong that they'd abandon their honor as knights to kidnap children. He scoffs at their methods, pointing to the shattered magical restraints. He calls them dishonorable, powerless rabble from the frontier, unworthy of a fair fight. Leonard gets in the knight's face, his eyes blazing with intensity, questioning how the man could face his ancestors with such pathetic pride. The knight's pride is shattered. "Don't get cocky, brat," he bellows, incensed by Leonard's insults. He roars about how dare Leonard insult the name of Kyrgyz. But his fury turns to shock as Leonard calmly confirms his origin. "Oh? So you are from Kyrgyz?" The knight is stunned. How did this kid already know? Leonard just smirks, noting that when a mind is in a mess, one tends to forget the obvious. The knight grits his teeth, realizing he's been completely outplayed. Leonard has him exactly where he wants him. Leonard informs the knight that he's forcefully opened his mana circuits. His death is now inevitable. But before that, he's going to spill every secret he knows. We learn more about the knight's homeland. Kyrgyz, a minor kingdom in the west, was once known as the Holy Land of Knights. That was, until the emergence of Cardenas. The legendary Red Dragon Knight Order of Cardenas defeated the Knights of Kyrgyz. That single, crushing defeat was enough for the world to forget Kyrgyz, and for Cardenas to be hailed as the new Holy Land of Knights. Leonard puts the pieces together. Kyrgyz attacked Cardenas to reclaim their lost glory and to pry into the secrets of their blood. He admits that, in a way, their curiosity aligns with his own. He too wants to understand the secrets of his lineage. But Leonard knows the real problem isn't this lone knight. There are fighters on this island at the Transcendence Realm level, a threat he must report to Sir Bradley. Having gathered enough information, Leonard prepares to make his move. His mission is far from over. He channels his aura into his blade, identifying his enemy as Kyrgyz, Shadow Knight Order. He now understands the danger facing the trainees on the island. It's far more perilous than anyone imagined. He turns to the 30th Shadow, telling him it's time to play his part. With a swift motion, he brings his sword down. A spray of blood marks the end of the interrogation. Leonard moves with cold efficiency. He doesn't have time to explain in detail. He just needs evidence that a Swordmaster-class enemy is on the island. He notes that his control is still at the imitation stage, but what he's planning should be enough. Before leaving, he helps himself to the knight's remaining magic tools, smirking as he asks if there are any objections. With his prisoner in tow, Leonard is ready to deliver his warning. He begins the long trek back towards the Cardenas trainee camp. Meanwhile, back at the main camp, the other trainees are completely unaware of the approaching danger. A few of the trainees, including Ian, enjoy a moment of peace, relieved to finally have a break after a sudden mobilization. But their relaxation is short-lived. Hayden spots something and asks Ian, "What do you think that is?" They follow his gaze and are horrified by what they find. A corpse, with a glowing blue flame embedded in its chest, has been left for them to find. One of them screams in a panic, "Get Sir Bradley, now!" Sir Bradley arrives on the scene, his expression grim. He immediately identifies the glowing wound as the work of an aura blade. He explains it's a technique only a Swordmaster can use in real combat. He then finds a note left on the body and realizes the terrible truth. It's a confession, written out by the now deceased knight, detailing the planned attack on the young trainees. The confession reveals the identity of the attackers, Kyrgyz, Shadow Knight Order. The note details the enemy's strength, Numerous experts led by a commander at the Transcendence realm level, all heading for the trainees' camp. Even with all the trainees gathered, holding them off would be nearly impossible. The real problem is their leader. Bradley orders Ian to sound the alarm across the entire island. This is an emergency. The entire camp springs into action. The trainees quickly assemble, their expressions a mix of fear and determination. Leonard watches them go. It seems Sir Bradley understood the message he was sending. Sir Bradley addresses the assembled trainees, his voice booming across the training grounds. "Listen up! This is not a drill! There are extremely powerful intruders on Carabagos Island." He lays out the grim reality. Around 30 enemies exceed Stage 8 of the External Force realm, and among them, at least one has reached the Swordmaster's Transcendence realm. He tells them to think of Commander Fabian of the Young Dragon Knight Order. These enemies are like walking natural disasters. Against such a foe, mere numbers mean nothing. He gives them a choice. Either we activate a space gate and hide away, abandoning the island to wait for reinforcements, or we stay here and stand against the enemy. He puts the decision in their hands. For the trainees, a real battle like this would be a once-in-a-lifetime experience, assuming they survive. Leonard watches on, thinking that if they choose to withdraw, no one could blame them. But to his surprise, the trainees don't back down. A chorus of voices rises from the ranks. "We'll fight. We're not going down that easily." They declare that they've grown stronger too, and they're ready to show the enemy what they've got. Leonard acknowledges their bravery. Choosing to pick up a sword when death is on the line is no easy thing. He admits he misjudged them. They are knights after all. With a unified roar, the trainees of Cardinus prepare for war. They stand ready, a sea of determined faces and sharpened steel, prepared to defend their honor. Sir Bradley smiles, a flicker of pride in his eyes. He declares he'll respect their wishes. However, he knows courage alone won't be enough. He tells them they'll request reinforcements from Commander Fabian to deal with the Transcendence level threat. As the sun rises, he gives his final order. "All of you, steel your hearts." While the army prepares for a direct confrontation, Leonard has his own plans. He heads toward an earth burrow he dug by his bunk, a secret escape route he's finally going to use. Since he's still under the protection clause, he's being evacuated, which works perfectly for his real plan. Alone, in his secret tunnel, it's time to examine the toys he borrowed from the Shadow Knight. Most of the tools are broken from the fight, but an enchanted ring still seems to work. He slips it on, but as he tries to channel mana into the haste spell, the ring violently rejects him. The enchanted gem shatters into pieces. He realizes his own heart is blocking external mana from entering his body, rendering all magic tools useless to him. The only useful item left is the Shadow Knight's signal device, but since he already wrung all the information out of its owner, that's fine. He hatches a new plan. He'll find the invaders, ambush them from the shadows, and if he's spotted, he'll use the signal device as a decoy. His new objective is clear. He moves out, a silent hunter in the dense forest. He knows the only one he truly needs to watch out for is the Swordmaster. He's not going to let these people do whatever they please. With his plan in motion, Leonard sprints through the dense forest. He's tracking his prey using the very tools they brought to his home. The signal device he'd borrowed from the Shadow Knight begins to glow. It's a reinforcement signal. Leonard deduces it's not the Swordmaster himself calling for help. He plans to hit them hard while they're shaken and take them down in one go. His pursuit leads him to a desolate, rocky canyon known as Lion Gorge. There, a fierce battle is already underway, a maelstrom of violent purple energy tearing through the landscape. The Shadow Knights of Kyrgyz are being slaughtered, but not by a Cardinus Knight. One of them curses his fate, wondering what the hell is up with this island. Their attacker is revealed to be a terrifying A-rank monster, a manticore. The beast is a nightmarish chimera, a hulking monstrosity that towers over the fleeing knights. Overwhelmed by its power, the Shadow Knights are thrown into chaos, screaming that they can't handle a monster of this level. Their leader orders a retreat, prioritizing the mission above all else. Just as their formation breaks, one of the knights spots a figure approaching. He thinks it's a comrade coming to help and believes they might be able to defeat the beast with reinforcements. But his hope turns to horror. The figure isn't one of them. In a flash of blue lightning, our boy appears, his blade already stained with their blood. He's cut down 3 knights in an instant. The survivors are stunned, wondering how he even knew how to use their signal device. Leonard smirks coolly. He recalls how easily the captured knights spilled everything after a little prodding. Their much-praised organization wasn't so tough after all. The remaining knights, enraged by the loss of their comrades, turn their fury on Leonard. "You bastard!" one screams, vowing revenge. But Leonard stands unfazed, his twin blades crackling with lightning. One knight lunges forward, blinded by rage, calling Leonard a cursed Cardanus devil. He's cut down before he can even land a blow, his body slumping to the ground. With cold disdain, Leonard asks the fallen knight if he'd forgotten what he was fighting just a moment ago. As if on cue, the manticore stands behind the knight and slams his the tentacles, obliterating the knight from existence. Leonard now stands alone before the creature. He sizes up his new opponent, noting its strange anatomy, a lion's body, a snake's tail, and most unnervingly, the face of a human. He wonders what exactly this thing is. The manticore's eyes narrow, its gaze intelligent and calculating. To Leonard's utter shock, the beast speaks. Its voice a low growl as it addresses him as human. A monster that can talk? This changes things. This is no mere beast. It's a sentient, intelligent being. The manticore delivers a chilling ultimatum. It can sense Leonard's strength, and it knows if he fight Leonard, it'll certainly die. Leonard is impressed. It glances at the body of a fallen Shadow Knight. He thinks to himself that if he can just stall for time, he will come. The one the manticore is truly waiting for is the Kurji's leader, the fifth shadow, a Swordmaster. Leonard knows that at his current level, he stands no chance against a true Swordmaster. He weighs his options. The monster's warning is likely true, but can he really trust its word? The manticore grows impatient with his silence. It challenges him directly. If you're not afraid of dying, come at me. After a moment of tense silence, Leonard calmly sheathes one of his swords back into his pack. He turns and walks away. Leonard warns him, I'll let you go this time, but don't expect the same mercy twice. But as Leonard's back is turned, the manticore roars, full and lunges, unwilling to let its prey escape. Leonard was expecting this. Just as he thought, the beast is all talk. He grips his sword, his body erupting in a torrent of blue energy. His first shot is a precise, lightning-fast strike aimed directly at the manticore's head. The beast reels back, stunned. How did the human know its weak point? Enraged, it unleashes a barrage of spined tails, roaring for Leonard's death. But Leonard is already moving. His second shot pierces its lungs, crippling the beast's movements. With a final, decisive blow, his third strike goes straight through the heart, silencing the A-rank monster for good. As the manticore collapses, Leonard tells its corpse that, just as it said, he can't stick around. He has to go first. Suddenly, his eyes narrow. He senses an immense power approaching at incredible speed. He's here. With no time to spare, Leonard leaps away, tossing the now activated signal necklace into the air as a decoy. A split second later, the fifth shadow appears in a blur of motion. He lands in the epicenter of the carnage, his presence radiating immense power. He picks up the signal device in his hand, a grim expression on his face. He's too late. The manticore is dead, and his men are gone. A flicker of regret crosses his face. He laments that if he had arrived a bit earlier, he and the manticore could have created a story. But then, his keen senses pick up a faint trace of someone nearby. "Who's there?" he bellows. He unleashes a devastating wave of green aura, blasting the area where he felt the presence. Hidden behind a rock, Leonard barely manages to withstand the shockwave. The Swordmaster sensed him from that distance. If he stays, he's done for. Thinking fast, he smashes his fists into the ground. He never thought the day would come when his old hole-digging habit would actually save his life. The fifth shadow scans the empty gorge. Finding nothing, he dismisses the feeling as his imagination. He looks upon the swords of his fallen men, now serving as their tombstones. The mission has gone more off track than he ever expected. He turns away from the graves, vowing that their deaths will not be in vain. "Rest in peace," he mutters. His expression hardens with resolve. He declares that their primary objective is already complete. Miles away, Leonard bursts out from underground, having made a clean escape through his secret tunnel-digging art. He gets to his feet, catching his breath, but the scene he finds is one of absolute horror. A Cardenas knight lies dying against a tree, his body riddled with wounds. The man is barely holding on. Cardenas knight recognizes him as a trainee. With his dying breath, he urges Leonard to tell the other knights what happened. The area is littered with the bodies of his comrades, a testament to a one-sided slaughter. The knight reveals the horrifying truth. A single Swordmaster wiped out 43 mid-rank knights in an instant. And worse, 8 trainee knights on patrol were shackled and taken away as captives. His mind races, questioning how the enemy could have possibly escorted hostages through this chaos and vanished without a trace. He remembers their true objective. They weren't here to kill, but to secure live test subjects. That means they needed to transport the captured trainees alive and unharmed. Considering the circumstances, only one method makes sense: a mass teleport scroll, a rare and powerful spell that can move multiple people instantly. He deduces that to cast such a large-scale spell, they'd need a wide-open area. This gives him a destination to aim for. The dying knight confirms that Sir Bradley and his platoon are already sweeping the area in pursuit. Leonard tells the injured knight to rest for a moment, firing his hand with aura. A jolt of energy courses through the man, knocking him unconscious in a flash. With no time for sentiment, Leonard lifts the unconscious knight onto his shoulder. He knows he has to warn Sir Bradley, but realizes that as a mere trainee, his words would be dismissed. He'll have to guide the commander to the enemy himself. Miles away, the Cardenas Knight commander, Sir Bradley, leads his forces through the forest. He fumes, cursing the Kurji's cowards for abandoning their pride and running after their attack. Suddenly, his veteran senses tingle. He bellows out, demanding to know who's there. He spots a figure darting through the trees and assumes it's one of the Kurji survivors. But it's Leonard, now cloaked and masked, acting as the perfect bait. He takes off at full speed, deliberately drawing their attention. Enraged at the intruder's audacity, Bradley orders his men to eliminate him on sight. The knights give chase, but they're no match for Leonard's speed as he effortlessly weaves through their ranks. With a powerful leap, he widens the distance, leading them deeper into his trap. Bradley is shocked, noting that the intruder is ridiculously fast for a Khergis soldier. A storm of swords raining down on the fleeing figure. But Leonard moves like a phantom, dancing between the deadly blades without a scratch. He navigates the treacherous rain of swords, using swords as footsteps. He stops and carefully places the knight to the ground from his shoulder. Seeing his men fall behind, Bradley takes up the chase himself, leaping after the mysterious figure with incredible speed. Leonard glances back. His plan is working perfectly. He has led them exactly where he needs them to be. Bradley lands in devastating sword attack, his anger palpable. But as he takes in his surroundings, his expression shifts. He realizes with a shock that he's been led all the way to the coast. He then spots the body of his fallen comrade, laid carefully on the sand. From a safe distance, Leonard watches, hoping Bradley can survive what's coming next. The real enemy is about to make their entrance. A chilling presence descends on the beach. The fifth shadow has arrived. The Swordmaster mocks the Cardenas knight, smugly stating that he never expected a Cardenas dog to make it this far. Bradley immediately recognizes the man behind the invasion. The fifth shadow speaks of his plan as a great undertaking. Bradley scoffs at the notion, retorting that kidnapping children is hardly a noble cause. He declares that the Swordmaster isn't leaving this island alive. The fifth shadow just grins, condescendingly, asking if Bradley truly believed they would come to this island without a plan. He then delivers a chilling proclamation. Cardenas has already lost. As he speaks, a brilliant light pillar of light erupts from the forest. Bradley's eyes widen in horror. He recognizes the spell as a mass teleport and lunges forward to stop it. But the fifth shadow stops him with a confident smirk, revealing that the spell will take a full 15 minutes to complete. Until then, he promises to personally entertain the Cardenas commander. The two warriors clash in a violent explosion of green energy. Bradley grits his teeth, realizing he's been drawn into a battle meant only to stall for time. Hidden in the trees, Leonard watches the duel unfold. He tells himself Bradley just needs to hold on a little longer. With the leaders occupied, he vows to get the captured knights back. As the epic battle rages, the mass teleport circle on the beach glows ever brighter. Leonard seizes the opportunity, slipping past the distracted Khergis guards. He notes that with their eyes glued to the duel, their defenses are wide open. This is his chance. He quietly enters the main tent and finds exactly what he was looking for. The 8 captured Cardenas trainees. They're bound by powerful magic-suppressing shackles. With a single silent slash of his lightning-infused blade, he shatters the magical lock. The chains fall away, freeing the first trainee, who looks up in disbelief. Another captive, confused by the strange uniform, asks if he's from Khergis and why he's helping them. Leonard cuts him off, stating that he doesn't have time to explain. His only command is for them to get out, now. The freed trainees are stunned but understand the urgency, preparing to make their escape. Leonard looks on as the last of the trainees are freed. With a quick gesture, he signals that it's time to move. The freed trainees gives them their thanks and leaves the place. He stands alone in the now empty tent, a cool confidence in his eyes. The hostage problem is solved. A slight smirk plays on his lips. Now all that's left is to take out the trash. He steps outside, his twin blades drawn, confronting the last remaining guard. In a flash of blue light, he closes the distance instantly. He unleashes a whirlwind of slashes, cutting the enemy down before they can even react. With blood splattering across his cloak, he stands victorious. Back on the beach, the fifth shadow lands a devastating blow, cutting Bradley's arm. The Swordmaster scoffs, calling the battle a decent warm-up but ultimately unsatisfying. He declares that playtime is over. Soon, Khergis will once again stand at the peak of power. But just as he's about to deliver the final blow, his senses flare. A sudden realization dawns on him. He can feel it. The presence of the one who has been foiling his plans from the very beginning. The Swordmaster soars through the sky towards his base. The fifth shadow readies his blade, finally coming face to face with his real adversary. He lands to the ground with great force, creating cracks. Leonard is thrown back by the sheer pressure. The fifth shadow sneers, utterly bewildered that the one who sabotaged his grand design is nothing more than a brat. He channels his rage, speaking for all his fallen comrades. And for everything they've lost, he vows to make absolutely sure that Leonard dies right here, right now. He lunges forward, his sword glowing with a venomous green aura, promising to tear the Cardenas devil apart. Leonard meets the challenge, igniting his own blade with blue aura. He instantly recognizes his opponent as a master, on a whole different level than anyone he's fought before. The two powers collide in a massive explosion of energy, shaking the very ground. The Khergis commander reels back in shock, gritting his teeth. He can't comprehend how a mere trainee could possibly wield an aura blade, but Leonard coldly tells him it's none of his business. Leonard presses his advantage, but knows his time is limited. With his current power, he can only maintain this state for 3 minutes. Enraged by Leonard's skill, the commander attacks with frantic, wild slashes, screaming at the boy to die. Leonard, however, remains perfectly calm. He notes that his opponent's rage has made his movements sloppy and easy to read. With his enemy's attacks becoming predictable, Leonard realizes he can now shift from defense to a full-blown counterattack. He expertly weaves through the barrage, closing the distance for a decisive strike. But as he moves in for the kill, the commander reveals a sinister grin. Leonard's cheek has been scratched with his blade. The commander boasts about the secret weapon coating his blade, a deadly, fast-acting, severing poison. He explains, with sadistic glee, that a single scratch will be enough to stop Leonard's heart and sever his connection to his mana. Leonard, however, appears completely unfazed, nonchalantly thanking the man for the detailed explanation. The serpent-like poison magic tries to seep into Leonard's body, but something is wrong. His brilliant blue aura acts as a barrier, effortlessly neutralizing the deadly toxin. The commander is horrified. His trump card, a poison that should be instantly fatal, has absolutely no effect. Leonard comes to a startling conclusion. His unique, magic-resisting heart must also grant him immunity to poisons. He once again rebuffs the commander's questions, telling him that how he survived is something he'll never know. Taking advantage of the commander's shock, Leonard lands a clean, powerful strike. The commander stumbles back, clutching a fresh wound. His eyes burn with desperation and fury. Pushed to the brink, he unleashes a new technique, summoning massive mana serpents from the ground to attack. The sheer scale of the attack forces Leonard back. Leonard analyzes the chaotic assault, wondering if his opponent has lost control, or is just hoping to land a lucky hit. Leonard, seeing he can't get close, decides to switch tactics, preparing a massive ranged blast. He throws a powerful condensed mana straight ahead. His devastating attack rips through the magical constructs and strikes the commander dead on. The commander is sent flying, yet he still stands. With black blood streaming from his eye, he musters his remaining strength for one final act of vengeance. He declares that he will drag Leonard down to the depths of hell with him, even if it costs him his life. He begins to overload his mana core, preparing for a suicidal final attack. Leonard watches grimly, recognizing that the commander is putting everything into one last desperate gamble. The commander unleashes a swarm of illusionary snakes, a technique meant to overwhelm the senses, but Leonard's perception is too sharp. He immediately identifies the illusion and focuses his mind to cut it down fast. He carves a path directly through the phantom serpents, his eyes locked on his target. Unwavering, he continues his charge, slicing straight through the heart of the illusion. He breaks through and lands what should be the final blow. But the commander reveals one last trick, a magic tool inscribed with the Shockbound spell. The magical trap detonates, blasting Leonard backwards and knocking the sword from his hand. Before he can recover, the commander's hand shoots out. He seizes Leonard by the throat, sneering that his carelessness has cost him everything. The heavily injured commander reveals this was his plan all along, to bait Leonard into close quarters for a final, inescapable attack. Leonard struggles for air, caught in the man's death grip. As green energy crackles with deadly intent, the commander prepares to end Leonard's life. But a new voice rings out, calmly stating that this fight is over. In a flash of red, Commander Fabian appears, effortlessly slicing the wrist with a long-range attack. The Kyrgyz commander's face contorts in terror, having completely failed to sense the Swordmaster's approach. With a single, contemptuous slash, Fabian cuts of his legs. Leonard collapses to his knees, gasping for breath, as he watches the overwhelming display of power. He smirks, remarking that the commander was so focused on killing him, he never saw his own death coming. Fabian lands softly beside him, apologizing for not arriving sooner. He looks at his student with a proud smile, impressed by how much stronger he's become. Sir Bradley joins them. Fabian gives Leonard his sincere gratitude, confirming that his actions saved not only the trainees, but Bradley as well. Fabian's tone becomes serious, stating that he has many questions for the young prodigy. Leonard, battered and exhausted, cheekily asks if the interrogation can wait until after he's had a nap. Fabian's stern expression breaks into a warm smile, and he grants the boy his well-earned rest. But while Leonard rests, the commander's work is not done. His eyes harden as he resolves to clean up the trash. The Kyrgyz commander isn't dead, even after brutal injuries. Using some sinister magic, he's up. He rises into the air to face Fabian, declaring that their fight is far from over. Fabian is unimpressed, merely commenting on the enemy's monstrous persistence. He unleashes his own terrifying aura, and in a crimson tide he splits his opponent from abdomen. The fifth shadow is slammed back near Leonard. Fabian realizes his opponent's true goal. It wasn't him, but Leonard. With a hateful scream, the fifth shadow's mask shatters as he unleashes all his power in a final spell. Leonard can only watch in alarm as the unstable energy threatens to consume everything. He's engulfed in a cataclysmic explosion of light. As the light from the explosion fades, Fabian and Sir Bradley survey the grim aftermath, but Leonard is nowhere to be found. They stand over the bloodied remains of the Kyrgyz commander, a chilling silence hanging in the air. So they took him. They probably used mass teleportation to abduct him, and since spell wasn't fully activated, we have no idea where he ended up. Bradley can't help but be astonished by Leonard's growth, recalling how the young trainee fought a Transcendence-class opponent to a standstill. He remarks to Fabian that in all his years with the young Dragon Knight Order, he's never seen a talent as frighteningly prodigious as Leonard's. Looking towards the dawn, Bradley believes that a new legend is about to be carved into the history of Cardenas. Bradley suggests they immediately request reinforcements. He agrees, telling Bradley to handle the aftermath. With unshakable resolve, Fabian declares that the entire Cardenas must now focus on one mission: finding that boy. Meanwhile, far from the battlefield, Leonard drifts unconscious in the vast, open sea. He washes up against the deck of a passing ship, miraculously saved from a watery grave. A figure appears on the ship's railing, looking down at the strange man who just appeared out of nowhere. Leonard's consciousness slowly returns. The gentle rocking of the waves and the salty smell of the ocean confirm he's on a ship. He opens his eyes to find himself in a comfortable bed, where a cheerful young woman with bright orange hair greets him, exclaiming that he's finally awake. She leans in close, a playful yet demanding look in her eyes, stating that since she saved his life, he owes her some answers. Before he can react, she extends a hand with a radiant smile, formally introducing herself as Francis, the captain of the ship, the Situ, Corp Aquamarine. Still groggy, Leonard manages to introduce himself as Leonard of the Arcadia Empire. They shake hands, sealing their unexpected first meeting. Francis is taken aback, exclaiming that Arcadia is an awfully long way from here. She wonders how he could have possibly ended up so far from home. Leonard calmly explains that it was an accident, his memory of the event still hazy. He recalls the blinding flash of the Kyrgyz commander's final desperate spatial magic attack before everything went black. Francis and her companion are stunned that he not only got caught in a spatial spell but also survived it relatively unharmed. Their companion, Marian, sizes him up. Noting his incredibly well-trained physique for his age, she correctly deduces he must be from Cardenas. Leonard coolly confirms he's from Cardenas, asking if that's a problem. For him, the reputation of his homeland is a tool to be used. Marian quickly warns Lady Francis, suggesting it would be dangerous to get involved if the powerful nation of Cardenas is searching for this man. But their conversation is cut short as a frantic crewman bursts into the room. Panicked, the man begs Lady Francis to hurry to the docks, wiping sweat from his brow. He reports that Luciano's gang is rampaging outside, causing chaos and destruction. A flashback reveals the gang's sleazy leader, Luciano Peterson, a man who clearly spells trouble. Marian grits her teeth, realizing these rats chose to attack on the one day they were tied up with the council. Francis turns to Leonard, apologizing that she wanted to show him around properly, but it seems trouble has found them first. As Francis and Marian prepare to confront the thugs, she tells Leonard he's free to leave whenever he feels recovered. She points him to his neatly folded clothes, his sword, and his dimensional bag, all retrieved and placed beside his bed. But as she's about to leave, Leonard stops her with a single question. Why did she save him? Francis pauses at the door, her back to him. She turns around, a warm and genuine smile gracing her lips, and simply says it's because he looked like he needed help, and she doesn't abandon anyone who does. Leonard watches her go, a curious smirk playing on his lips. He thinks to himself that with the trouble brewing outside, she's the one who looks like she needs help. Out on the sun-drenched docks, a confrontation is about to begin. Luciano and his gang of thugs stand waiting as Francis and Marian make their determined approach. The scumbag leader greets them with a condescending smirk, telling Francis to smile a little. Marian isn't having any of it. She instantly draws her blade and tells him to cut the small talk. Luciano's face contorts in a mixture of annoyance and disgust at her insolence. He sneers at Marian, telling her that he's here to talk to her master, and that dogs should stay quiet. Marian's eyes flash with pure rage at the insult. Before she can strike, Luciano's pushes her aside and heads toward the Francis. He gets straight to the point, putting a hand on her shoulder and demanding she quit being stubborn and hand over the Aquamarine. Francis glances at her ship, a royal heirloom and her prized possession, her expression hardening with resolve. She looks Luciano's boss dead in the eye and states firmly that she will never give him the Aquamarine. The man's patience runs out. As he's about to threaten her, a blur of motion flashes past him. In an instant, Luciano's hand is sent flying through the air, spraying blood across the docks. Standing behind them, sword in hand, is Leonard. He calmly asks Francis if she minds if he kills this one. Francis and Marian can only stare in utter disbelief, completely stunned by Leonard's sudden and brutal intervention. The dismembered Luciano screams in agony, clutching the bloody stump where his arm used to be. He roars in fury, screaming at his men to kill everyone. One of the thugs charges at Leonard with a makeshift club, but our hero remains completely unfazed. With blinding speed, Leonard unleashes a storm of sword slashes, cutting down the charging thugs in a single fluid motion. He finishes the last one off with a devastating punch that sends the man flying. Francis and Marian watch, captivated by the overwhelming display of power before them. Francis whispers in awe, finally understanding the true power of a knight from Cardenas. Leonard plants his foot on Luciano's back, pushing him in front of the Francis. He notices that Luciano has somehow managed to reattach his severed arm. The two women are left speechless, not knowing what to do. Leonard turns to them with a calm expression, asking if something is wrong. Francis, still processing the scene, reveals that Luciano, the thug whose arm he just cut off, is the illegitimate son of one of Atlantis' most powerful figures. She explains that their home, the Atlantis Maritime Union, is governed by a powerful council that effectively rules the seas. And Luciano's father is the infamous Pablo Orlando Peterson, one of the top 5 heavyweights in the entire Union Council. Leonard's expression tightens. This situation is far more troublesome than he initially thought. Seeing her predicament and needing a way to find information about his own situation, Leonard makes an offer. He declares that for the time being he will act as her bodyguard, protecting her while he figures out a way to return home. With the thugs dealt with, Francis considers Leonard's offer to become her bodyguard. Seeing the opportunity to both gain a powerful ally and escape her predicament, she flashes a brilliant smile and enthusiastically accepts. With a firm handshake, the deal is sealed. Leonard is now the official bodyguard for the captain of the Aquamarine. Leonard points to the groveling Luciano and asks what they should do with him. Francis explains that as long as they don't actually kill the man, it should be fine. Apparently, even his own father, the council heavyweight Pablo Peterson, is completely fed up with his son's antics and will overlook most things, so long as his family's dignity isn't utterly shattered. With the matter settled and her new bodyguard in tow, she tells Leonard to follow her without holding back. She has a place to be, and she's going to put her new guard to work right away. Playing the part, Leonard asks if he should address her formally as Captain. She waves it off, telling him that if he doesn't mind, just calling her Fran is fine. Leonard nods, casually agreeing and addressing her as Fran for the first time. The sudden familiarity catches the captain completely off guard, a slight blush dusting her cheeks. In a daze, she finds herself asking him to say it one more time. Leonard obliges, repeating her nickname while thinking to himself that this new arrangement might not be so bad after all. Marion can only look on, concerned for her suddenly flustered lady. As they walk through the vibrant trade city, Leonard is captivated by the dazzling displays of water magic all around them. The sheer scale and artistry are overwhelming, something he's never witnessed back in his homeland of Arcadia. Francis explains that in a bustling trade hub like this, appearances are the most important thing. Though she admits it's all just decoration, the spectacle is what draws countless adventurers to their city. She leads them towards a grand, pristine white building, announcing their destination. Bermuda, the administration office for all of Atlantis' adventurer bands. Leonard takes in the sight, ready for the next step of his integration into this new world. At the entrance, Francis presents her a glowing emblem to a magical verification system, which confirms her identity. Captain Francis Lel von Okeanos, of the B007 Aquamarine Band. A holographic message then appears, directing them towards a specific location within the massive building, Zephyros Hall. Francis explains that Zephyros Hall is the exclusive lounge for high-ranking B-rank adventurer bands. Leonard nods, following her lead into the building. As they step inside, the opulence of the hall immediately strikes him. The lavish decor and atmosphere are far beyond what he expected. He realizes that B-rank must be a much higher tier than he assumed, which means the Aquamarine Band holds more prestige than he first thought. A cheerful woman named Clara greets them, introducing herself as the manager of Zephyros Hall, ready to assist with his band enrollment. She happily notes that with Leonard's addition, the Aquamarine will finally have 3 official members. To assess the band's updated combat power, Clara asks Leonard about his specialty. Before he can answer, a burly, drunk adventurer from a nearby table scoffs, rudely suggesting Leonard is just some pretty boy, hired to entertain the captain. Leonard's eyes flash with cold fury. He turns to Fran and quietly asks if he should take care of the troublemaker. Francis tells him it's fine, she's already used to this. The heckler doubles down, taunting that Leonard must be just a warm body to meet the minimum member requirement for a 2-person team. In a blur of motion, Leonard vanishes from his spot. Before the loudmouthed adventurer can even register what happened, he feels the cold, unforgiving steel of his own sword pressed against his throat. The man's smug expression instantly melts into one of pure, sweat-drenched terror. Holding the blade steady, Leonard calmly asks the room if this demonstration is enough to properly judge his skills. Clara, the hall manager, is left speechless by the terrifying display of speed. She stammers out that his skills are more than sufficient. With his point made, Leonard casually gives adventurer his sword back, leaving the now humbled adventurer to stew in his fear. Still reeling, Clara asks Leonard where a man of his caliber is from. Leonard pauses. He knows saying Arcadia is a bad idea after Marion's reaction, but silence would be just as suspicious. He makes a split-second decision. Stepping forward confidently, he declares that he hails from the kingdom of Kyrgyz, internally sighing that it was the only other nation he could think of on such short notice. With the paperwork finally in order, Clara stamps the registration form. She hands him the official document, welcoming him as the newest member of the Aquamarine Adventurer Band. Francis is absolutely over the moon, barely able to contain her excitement that she's finally recruited a new member. Leonard has to call out her name to snap her out of her giddy celebration. Mortified at her loss of composure, she quickly tries to regain her captainly dignity. She coughs, officially welcoming him to the team. As a celebration, she declares a free day for him to go sightseeing, since he seemed so curious about the city. Leonard nods, a small smile on his face, telling her he'll be counting on her. He then adds that he has one small favor to ask. His request piques Fran's curiosity. The scene changes, and Leonard finds himself standing before the ornate doors of a quiet, sunlit building. This was the favor he asked of Fran. He knocks and enters, announcing his arrival. A woman with long, dark hair and an enchanting aura floats down to greet him, introducing herself as Esther. She says Fran told her to expect him, and remarks that he doesn't look like a mage. With a playful snap of her fingers, she asks if it's true that he wants to learn about magic, demonstrating her power by levitating objects around the room. She invites him to sit and tell her everything. Over a warm cup of tea, the two begin their discussion. Leonard explains that after his encounter with the Kyrgyz commander's spatial magic, he realized he desperately needed a way to understand and counter magic, a field he is almost completely ignorant of. Esther listens, her sharp eyes analyzing him. She clarifies that he isn't seeking to become a magic swordsman, but simply to understand magic itself. We learn that Esther is a powerful 4th-tier mage of the Atlantis Magic Tower. She tells him the best way to understand magic is to experience it firsthand, and she has a method perfect for a swordsman like him. She stands and approaches him, explaining her plan. Leonard watches, intrigued by her proposition. She pulls out a glowing spirit stone, explaining that just as aura users absorb these to increase their mana, he can acclimate to magic by absorbing a stone engraved with a magic circuit. Leonard expresses hesitation, reminding her that he doesn't want to actually cast magic. But Esther presses forward, placing the stone against his chest. She assures him it's the fastest method, unless his body is somehow unusual. She also reveals she's a member of Aquamarine, and it's her duty as his senior to guide him, and to avoid Fran storming in to complain. The moment the stone touches him, Leonard grits his teeth in agony as a powerful surge of energy courses through him. Esther is taken aback. A circuit this simple should be easily absorbed by anyone. A look of dawning horror crosses her face as she realizes the truth. This man's constitution is anything but normal, as the magical energy erupts violently, threatening to overwhelm him completely. The sheer force of it sends a shockwave through the room, startling Esther. She's completely flabbergasted, muttering that the reaction shouldn't be this intense. Watching Leonard recover, she worriedly asks if he's all right. Catching his breath, Leonard insists that he's fine, much to her disbelief. But inside, he's just had a massive revelation about his Cardenas bloodline. His heart instinctively rewrote the magic circuit, as if that version was wrong. He explains that he managed to reinterpret one of the spells engraved in the stone. Extending his hand, he decides to give his senior a little demonstration. With newfound ease, he casts the basic spell, Magic Missile. Esther watches in stunned silence, her mind struggling to process what's happening. Leonard calmly explains that he judged the original spell to be too inefficient, so he reinterpreted it, transforming the single projectile into sharp daggers of pure energy. Esther is completely floored. Altering the base form of a spell is something even she, a 4th-tier mage, can't do yet, and you're firing 5 at once at that. Feeling a newfound confidence in his understanding, Leonard makes a bold request. He asks Esther if he can see her magic circuits, claiming he can identify areas for improvement. The scene cuts to the towering Atlantis Magic Tower, the heart of all magic in the city. Inside, a man is surrounded by a whirlwind of floating books and ancient texts. He sighs, annoyed at being disturbed when he's already so busy. This is the chief elder of the Atlantis Magic Tower, the legendary 7th-tier mage, Jack Russell. Esther greets her master respectfully, while Leonard introduces himself as a member of Aquamarine. Jack cuts to the chase, demanding to know why an outsider is here. With a proud smirk, Esther reveals that she has finally broken through her limits and advanced to the 5th tier. Jack is intrigued, asking what caused this sudden breakthrough after she'd been stuck for years. Rather than explain, Esther tells him to see for himself. She begins to cast a simple fireball spell, but with a deft motion she transforms the orb of flame. She explains she can now change the form of her magic, compressing the spell into a spinning disc to maximize its offensive power. She then reveals the cause of her sudden power-up. Leonard had fixed her circuits and given her advice. However, her control isn't perfect yet. She quickly loses control. She throws the spinning fire disc toward her master, believing he could keep it under control. Jack's eyes widen. He realizes this boy has reached the transformation realm, a state of mastery usually only seen in 6th-tier mages. He quickly suppresses the uncontrolled fire with a snap of finger. He mutters this development is far more interesting than he could have imagined. To surpass a magical realm without even intending to, he recognizes Leonard's monstrous talent. He tells Esther that she now owes the young swordsman a debt she couldn't possibly repay in a lifetime. With a new level of respect, the chief elder turns his full attention to Leonard. He then makes an incredible offer. He asks Leonard to become his disciple, a rare opportunity that any mage would kill for. Leonard doesn't even hesitate. He politely but firmly declines, stating that he has already chosen the path of the sword. Jack looks disappointed, but as thanks for his help, He grants Leonard unrestricted access to the tower and its resources. He also promises to ensure a good relationship between the Magic Tower and the Aquamarine Adventurer Band. Leonard gives a slight bow and a smirk, graciously accepting the generous offer. With a new, powerful alliance forged, Leonard's future in Atlantis is looking brighter than ever. Later, back at Zephyros Hall, Fran listens to Leonard's report in utter disbelief. She can't believe he met the chief elder of the Magic Tower. When Leonard confirms that Jack promised to maintain good relations, Fran explodes with joy. She clasps her hands, ecstatic that they formed a connection with an organization as powerful as Bermuda and the Union Council. He then points to a list on the table. Fran explains it's a list of potential new recruits for their band. Their ship, the Aquamarine, is impressive, but without more members, they can't expand their range of activities. Leonard agrees that recruiting stronger members is their top priority. Fran is taken aback by his proactive attitude, stammering in agreement. Just then, Leonard's eyes are drawn to a commotion in the corner of the hall. A man is pinned to a pillar by an arrow, screaming insults at his attacker. He hurls a racial slur at a silver-haired half-elf, who simply stares back with cold indifference. The archer, known as One-Eyed Ninian, calmly prepares another arrow. She imbues the arrowhead with a strange, crackling green energy. The man shrieks in terror as the arrow flies true, pinning him further. Ninian stands over him. Utterly unfazed, the man now thoroughly humiliated. Two other adventurers step in, telling her she's going too far. They're from the Santa Maria band, and they're trying to pressure her into joining them by bringing up her sister's ransom. Having seen enough, Leonard's voice cuts through the tension, telling the thugs that they're the ones going too far. In an instant, he grabs a bow and lets an arrow fly. His incredible shot slices through the arrows, holding the man, freeing him, and sending him tumbling to the floor. Ninian is left speechless by the display of skill, a level of archery she's never witnessed. Leonard introduces himself as a member of the Aquamarine Band. He casually thanks Clara for lending him her bow, leaving Fran and Marian utterly baffled. Turning to the stunned half-elf, he formally invites Ninian to join their crew. He promises that from what he can see, it would be a beneficial deal for her as well. Ninian is clearly tempted. His shot was on a completely different level than her imitation of spirit archery, and she knows she could learn from him. However, one of them points out that he's heard Aquamarine is on the verge of collapsing. The Santa Maria members mock the offer, warning her not to join a sinking ship. They boast that their captain is far more magnificent than anyone in a hopeless group like Aquamarine. Just then, a hulking figure steps forward, shutting his subordinate up. He introduces himself with a predatory grin. Christopher Conrad, captain of the Santa Maria. He and his crew exude an intimidating aura, clearly looking down on the B-rank adventurers. Leonard sizes him up, noting that the man is just a step away from the Transcendence realm. A massive disadvantage in a head-on fight. But he also knows a skilled archer, like Ninian, is a key asset in naval battles, someone he absolutely cannot afford to let slip away. Christopher's condescending smirk makes his intentions clear. He won't let this talent be poached so easily. Leonard's gaze hardens with resolve. He has made his decision. Even if it means clashing with the Santa Maria, he will make sure Ninian joins their crew. We flash back, delving into Ninian's painful past. A younger, more innocent Ninian is seen with her cheerful half-sister Vivian, who she clearly adored. Ninian recalls how, despite being a half-elf, she found family in her sister. Vivian was a pure-blooded elf and a talented spirit user, but more importantly, she was Ninian's only friend. But their happiness was shattered in an instant, when slave traders brutally captured Vivian right before Ninian's eyes. The traumatic memory of her sister is seared into her mind. The leader of the thugs, a vile man, had captured Vivian to exploit her rare spirit arts, signing her life away on a contract. Surrounded and helpless, a younger Ninian had pleaded for her sister's life, offering to do anything. But the man just laughed, mocking her inferior spirit arts and casting her aside for being an impure half-breed. The memory of her powerlessness and despair still haunts her to this day. Back in the present, Ninian is filled with a grim determination. She knows she's the only one who can save her sister now. But she's not alone. Leonard steps forward, his decision made. He boldly challenges Christopher Conrad, the captain of the Santa Maria, to a duel for Vivian's contract, stunning everyone in the hall. Marian panics, trying to pull Leonard back from his reckless challenge. She desperately pleads with Fran to stop him, warning that this means starting an all-out war with the A-rank Santa Maria band. Fran, however, looks to Leonard for an explanation. Leonard calmly tells her that this is their one chance to recruit not just a skilled archer, but a rare spirit user as well. He asks for her trust. After a tense moment, Fran's eyes harden with resolve. She gives Leonard her silent approval. Seeing Ninian hesitate, Leonard grabs her wrist to steady her. He asks her if she's losing her nerve, encouraging her to stand firm. His bold move infuriates Christopher, who grabs Leonard by the collar, roaring with rage. The hulking captain belittles him, demanding to know what a snot-nosed punk could possibly wager for an asset as priceless as an elven spirit user. Ninian watches on, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and a flicker of hope. Just as tensions are about to boil over, Fran steps in, raising the stakes sky high. She declares that Aquamarine will bet the purchase rights to their entire ship. To sweeten the pot, she's throwing Santa Maria's A-rank exploration rights also. Christopher's eyes widen at the audacious offer. Leonard watches his captain with a confident smirk. Intrigued, Christopher agrees but adds a crucial condition to prevent them from hiring outside help. The duel must be fought by a current member of Aquamarine, sneering that he won't let some noble lady hire a swordmaster to do her dirty work. And to make it personal, he declares the duel will be a one-on-one match, him versus Leonard. No objections accepted. With the terms set, Christopher and his crew depart, leaving a palpable tension in the air. Later, back at the Atlantis Magic Tower, the gravity of the situation sinks in. Marion slams her fist on the table in frustration, calling Leonard insane for challenging an A-rank captain. She reminds everyone that Conrad isn't just a brute. He's a powerful and experienced magic swordsman. Fran, however, sips her tea with surprising nonchalance, simply stating that Conrad is a gross guy who pisses her off. The crew gathers around the table, the mood heavy. Marion argues that even with her and Ninian's help, they stand no chance against a magic swordsman of Conrad's caliber. Ninian, feeling responsible for the conflict, apologizes for dragging them into her mess, but Leonard tells her not to worry. As he speaks, a brilliant blue aura begins to emanate from his sword. He stands up, his entire body enveloped in a powerful blue light, stunning his crewmates. Fran gasps in shock, recognizing the technique as Aura Blade. She can't believe it. According to his file, Leonard should only be at stage 3 of the external force realm, a level far below what's needed for this skill. With a cool confidence, Leonard smirks and clarifies that his official rank is just what's on paper. He reveals that he's never had a reason to go all out before now, and with his true strength, he is certain he won't lose to Conrad. Fran is momentarily speechless, her mind racing to comprehend this massive revelation about their newest member. Then, her doubt melts away, replaced by a brilliant, trusting smile. She tells Leonard she knew she was right to trust him all along. He simply thanks her for her faith. Though impressed, Ninian raises a valid point. Conrad may not be a true swordmaster yet, but he is a magic swordsman. They'll need a plan for his magic. Just as they begin to strategize, unexpected visitors arrive. It's none other than Esther and the chief elder of the Magic Tower, Jack Russell. Jack announces that he understands the situation completely. It turns out Leonard, anticipating foul play, had gone to the Magic Tower and requested the chief elder himself to act as an official witness for the duel. Leonard and Fran stand respectfully before one of the most powerful men in Atlantis. Jack agrees without hesitation, citing that Leonard is Esther's benefactor and therefore an ally of the tower. With a shrewd glint in his eye, Jack adds that he also suspects a man like Conrad wouldn't be above using cheap tricks to win. The scene then shifts to a darkened room, where a new, powerful figure is introduced. This is Pablo L. Orlando Peterson, a member of the Atlantis Union Council and captain of the A-rank band, Moby Dick. Christopher Conrad is kneeling before him like a loyal subordinate. Pablo smirks, revealing that he's heard about the duel. He sees this as the perfect opportunity to seize the highly sought-after Aquamarine. To ensure their victory, Pablo presents Conrad with a dark, pulsating elixir. This secret drug will temporarily grant Conrad power, surpassing that of a swordmaster. Conrad scoffs, believing he can crush Leonard without it, but a single threatening glare from Pablo silences his protests. Pablo sternly warns him not to underestimate his opponent, suspecting Aquamarine has an ace up their sleeve. He orders Conrad to drink the elixir and secure the Aquamarine at all costs. Forced into a corner, Conrad clenches his fist and accepts the order, his face a mask of grim determination. Back at the office, Leonard's eyes burn with an unshakable resolve, ready to face whatever tricks his opponent throws at him. The day of the duel arrives in the magnificent port city of Atlantis. The stage is set at the Bermuda Grand Auditorium, a massive arena where warriors settle their scores. In the stands, the crowd buzzes with excitement, placing their bets on the high-stakes match. The overwhelming consensus is clear. The A-rank captain Conrad is the sure winner. Aquamarine's crew watches on with bated breath, Ninian fighting to keep her composure for the man fighting for her sister's freedom. In the center of the arena, the hulking Captain Conrad looks down on his opponent with utter contempt. Across from him, Leonard stands calm and collected, his red eyes burning with quiet intensity. The announcer hypes up the one-on-one match, a battle of David versus Goliath with the fate of two bands on the line. But this isn't just any back-alley brawl. The announcer introduces the official witness, the chief elder of the Magic Tower himself, Jack Russell. Jack's presence is a calculated move, one that Fran had a hand in orchestrating. We flash back to Fran making a shocking proposal to Esther. She wants to bet all of Aquamarine's funds on the duel. Fran grabs her hands, pleading earnestly. This isn't just a gamble. It's a golden opportunity to skyrocket their capital. Her logic is simple. With everyone betting on Conrad, the odds for Leonard are astronomical. It's the perfect long shot. This was all part of a larger plan, discussed beforehand. With almost no public info on Leonard, the bookies have written him off, creating the perfect trap for the greedy. Leonard adds his own reassurance, wielding a magnificent sword borrowed from the tower's armory. He tells Esther that with this blade, he won't lose. Seeing his unwavering confidence, Esther's doubt begins to fade. She asks if he's truly certain. Leonard gives her a disarming smile and confirms her trust is well placed, telling her to go all in. Back in the present, the announcer screams for the duel to begin, and Conrad wastes no time with pleasantries. He gets right in Leonard's face, reminding him with a sneer that killing is perfectly legal within these walls. Leonard simply fires back, asking if the big man is scared that his mouth is running wild. Infuriated by the brat's nerve, Conrad's calm facade shatters. He unleashes his power as a fifth-tier mage, conjuring searing fireballs and promising to wipe the smug look off Leonard's face. The fiery projectiles rocket towards their target, but Leonard moves like a blur, easily dodging the magical onslaught. He assesses the attack, realizing he needs to bring out his own trump card right away. The sword from the tower hums to life, glowing with a vibrant turquoise aura. This is no ordinary weapon. It's a top-class artifact capable of channeling magic. Leonard imbues the blade with wind magic, preparing to give Conrad a taste of his own medicine. He effortlessly slices through the fireballs, sending the magical energy spiraling out of control. Conrad's eyes widen in disbelief. This rookie isn't just a swordsman. He's a magic swordsman too. Before Conrad can recover, Leonard is on him, his blade a dizzying blur of motion. He closes the distance in an instant, his speed far surpassing anything Conrad expected. Conrad is immediately put on the back foot. He stomps on the floor hard, making a shield out of the torn ground. The sheer force destroys the Leonard's momentum. Conrad has secretly placed a gravity-manipulating spell on the ground, using the flying debris as a disguise to pin Leonard down. With his opponent slowed, he calls down a bolt of lightning, confident that speed is useless against gravity. Leonard is engulfed in the electric attack, seemingly trapped within the powerful spell. The arena floor explodes in a brilliant flash of light and a cloud of dust. But when the dust settles, Conrad is the one who's been struck, a fresh cut on his cheek. Leonard tanked the hit and has already counterattacked. He follows up with a brutal kick to the captain's jaw, and another vicious stomp that sends the huge man crashing into the dirt. Conrad coughs up blood, completely overwhelmed by the ferocity of the counter. Now with his shirt half torn, which by the way is looking really cool, Leonard coldly informs Conrad that a magic swordsman who can't even draw his main sword is just full of himself. Conrad pushes himself up, admitting he underestimated his foe. He decides it's time to use the secret weapon his boss gave him. He puts the dark elixir into his mouth and swallows it without hesitation. The pill immediately takes effect, and Conrad lets out an agonizing roar as his body begins to transform. A terrifying dark, purple aura erupts from him, twisting his features into a monstrous grimace. Fueled by the drug, his eyes glow a demonic red as he vows to murder the boy in front of him. Leonard calmly assesses the new threat, recognizing the power surging from Conrad is now on par with a Swordmaster. The transformed captain leaps high into the air with his massive greatsword. Leonard just smirks, so the old dog did have a new trick after all. As Conrad brings the blade crashing down, Leonard meets it head-on. Leonard's blade slices off Conrad's leg, drawing blood. The drug-fueled monster roars in fury, his eyes burning with red-hot rage. He swings wildly, but his movements are now just brute force without finesse. Leonard easily vaults over the attack, just by leaping into the air. Conrad looks at his opponent, who's still in the air with cold eyes, and declares that playtime is over. Finally getting serious, Conrad draws on his own training, unleashing a malevolent purple aura blade around his greatsword. Leonard's expression doesn't change. Seeing his opponent is finally ready to use his sword properly, he decides to answer in kind. In a flash, a massive, pure blue aura blade ignites around Leonard's entire body. The two opposing forces, one dark and corrupted, the other pure and controlled, rush towards one another. They collide in the center of the arena in a spectacular explosion of power. But it's no contest. Leonard's azure aura instantly shatters Conrad's corrupted power. The captain is blown back, utterly defenseless as Leonard presses his attack. Conrad stares in pure terror. He can't comprehend how this brat can use Aura Blade too. But what Leonard unleashes next is beyond anything Conrad could have imagined. His aura takes the form of a colossal, ethereal dragon, its power shaking the very foundations of the auditorium. Up in the stands, the hall's administrator, Carmen, leaps to his feet, screaming that the match is rigged. He tries to declare the duel invalid, yelling that there's no way a true magic swordsman could lose to a kid. This is Carmen, the administrator of the A-rank hall, and he's just lost a fortune betting on a sure thing. He grits his teeth, realizing this loss will ruin him, all because of the elixir that was supposed to guarantee victory. But a calm voice cuts through his pathetic whining. It's Jack Russell. The chief elder coldly asks if Carmen intends to nullify an official duel that he personally witnessed and notarized. The announcer freezes, and Carmen's blood runs cold. Disrespecting the chief elder is a death sentence in Atlantis. He immediately backpedals, stammering apologies for his outburst. A glint flashes across Jack's glasses. Everything, including this desperate attempt to void the results, had been predicted by Leonard. His duty as a witness complete, Jack turns to leave. But he leaves Leonard with a parting question. How does he plan to settle things with that man? All eyes turn back to the arena, where Leonard stands over the broken form of Captain Conrad. After the intense duel, we transition to the Aquamarine's ship, sailing under a bright sun. Back in the captain's quarters, good news arrives. Their proposal has been approved. Fran announces to the crew that they're now officially allowed to explore A-rank seas, although there are still a few conditions to meet. But more importantly, thanks to their massive winnings from the duel, their financial troubles are over for the foreseeable future. With a look of sincere gratitude, Fran thanks Leonard for making it all possible. Leonard simply replies that he was honored to help. Just then, two figures approach him. It's Ninian and her newly freed sister, Vivian, who thank Leonard profusely for saving them. Vivian introduces herself as a wind spirit user, clearly smitten with their savior. Leonard, ever the stoic, coolly states that their interests just happen to align, and as long as they do their part for the crew, that's enough. The sisters, a little flustered by his bluntness, still try to offer him something more as thanks, but Fran smoothly steps in, welcoming them as comrades, and reminding them that friends don't need to keep score. She then tasks Marion with showing the two new elf recruits to their quarters. Later that night, Fran finds Leonard alone on the deck, under the starry sky. She wonders aloud if his intimidating presence is what sent everyone to bed so early. The quiet moment prompts her to finally share her true reason for wanting to become an A-rank adventurer band. Leonard, sharp as ever, says he can more or less guess her motivations. Fran asks him to listen anyway, admitting it's hard to keep it all bottled up inside. Leonard agrees, ready to hear the story of the woman he's chosen to follow. And so, we flash back 8 years into the past. The scene is the Union Council, the governing body of Atlantis. A tense meeting is underway, discussing a dangerous, swirling red rift in the Fifth Sea. A young captain argues against leaving it unchecked. This is Njord, the former captain of the Aquamarine, and Fran's father. But a high-ranking council member named Pablo casually dismisses his concerns. Pablo arrogantly claims the rift is stable and won't be a problem for decades. Njord retorts that their projections mean nothing if something unexpected happens. Pablo reveals his true colors, arguing that the rift is a source of valuable byproducts from the other side. Njord's face contorts with rage at this blatant greed. He lunges forward, grabbing Pablo by the collar, furious that he would risk lives for profit. Pablo remains unfazed, coldly reminding Njord that the entire city of Atlantis was built on the wealth from those very byproducts. His eyes gleam with malice, showing just how deep his corruption runs. Seeing the rest of the council remain silent, Njord realizes they've all been bought. With a flick of his wrist, Njord dismisses Pablo, the decision already made. Defeated, Njord returns to his ship and slams his fist down in fury. He declares that they can no longer count on the other A-rank bands for help. With his eyes burning with resolve, he makes a fateful decision. Aquamarine will close every last rift themselves. Dressed in his brilliant white captain's coat, Njord readies his crew for the impossible mission. The Aquamarine ship powers up, engulfed in a protective blue aura as it sets sail for the dangerous rifts. Its magical core hums with immense energy. The vessel cuts through the waves at incredible speed. They unleash their power, ready to take on the world's greatest threats alone. Fran narrates that in its prime, Aquamarine was a force to be reckoned with, boasting a 7th-tier mage and 3 near-transcendent fighters. Led by the Spirit Knight Njord, they accomplished the impossible, sealing 4 rifts in less than a month. But their heroic deeds were not celebrated. Njord receives a call from the council. He's told to stand down, that his actions are making the other adventurers look bad and hurting their business. Njord ignores them, stating they'll return only after sealing the last, most dangerous rift, Charybdis. The council member is horrified, calling it a suicide mission. But Njord is determined. The greater the danger, the more reason he has to seal it. Without hesitation, the Aquamarine plunges into the swirling vortex of otherworldly energy. The mighty ship is swallowed whole by the massive, chaotic rift. Back in the present, Leonard asks what happened next. Fran looks away, her voice filled with a deep sadness as she remembers just how strong they once were. The memory brings a flicker of pain to her eyes. Leonard listens silently, understanding the weight of her past. The flashback resumes. The Aquamarine emerges victorious, sailing into a triumphant sunset. The crew celebrates their return home. Njord looks to the horizon, satisfied that he has bought the world some time from the encroaching darkness. He smiles, knowing his daughter is waiting for him, even if she is mad at him for being away so long. Just then, a young Fran and her guardian Marion arrives on the deck of ship. Njord calls out to his daughter. A happy young Fran asks if her daddy is finally coming home. But their reunion is shattered by a massive, fiery explosion. Their home base is under attack. It's an ambush by the Moby Dick. Njord's face twists in horror and betrayal as he realizes Pablo was behind it all. Marion desperately shields a terrified Fran from the chaos. Njord screams at Marion to protect his daughter at all costs. He barks orders to his crew, trying to make a break for the safety of the main docks. With gritted teeth, he commands his remaining fighters to hold off the enemy ship. Pablo mocks Njord's worthless pride, and ordering his men to crush Aquamarine's spirit completely. Enraged, Njord unleashes his own power, roaring for Pablo to shut his mouth. His eyes blaze with an unshakable will. He vows that even if he dies, the honor and spirit of Aquamarine will live on through his daughter. And with that, his ship is engulfed in a final, devastating explosion. The flashback ends, returning to the present, where Fran's eyes reflect that same fiery determination. She explains that this is why she can never give up on her father's dream. She offers Leonard a way out, admitting that her path means making an enemy of Atlantis itself. But Leonard immediately shuts her down. He's not going anywhere. He smiles, telling her that the chance to fight strong, deserving foes is exactly what he lives for. A wicked glint in his eye, he adds that if they're scum who deserve no mercy, it's even better. Fran is completely taken aback by his unwavering loyalty and battle lust. Her shock gives way to a burst of genuine, relieved laughter. She tells him he's truly incredible, and asks if he'll continue to follow her as a true member of Aquamarine. Leonard gives a slight, confident smile. He tells Fran he's counting on her. A few days later, back at the Bermuda branch, the Aquamarine crew is hard at work. With their goals set, it's time to hone their skills. Leonard finds himself in a sparring match, but it's 2 against 1. He effortlessly dodges an arrow from Ninian, the wind spirit user, while simultaneously parrying a swift strike from Marion. Leonard cuts in with a powerful slash, calling a stop to the match, declaring that it's enough. Marion and Ninian are left panting, clearly pushed to their limits by the intense training. Leonard praises their progress, noting how their coordination will be essential for the dangerous journeys ahead. Both Marion and a winded Ninian can see their skills are steadily growing under Leonard's guidance. Leonard ends the session, telling them their guests are waiting. Watching from the sidelines is a man in a sharp suit holding a formal document. He introduces himself as Benjamin, the head of Bermuda's A Rank Hall. He mentions he was watching their spar, and confirms the rumors are true. Leonard did indeed defeat Captain Conrad. To single-handedly overwhelm Marion and Ninian, the top B-rank duo, is something Benjamin can't ignore. He concludes that Leonard's combat power is definitely at the A-rank level. However, he points out a glaring issue. Fran's face turns serious as Benjamin states that the Aquamarine is badly understaffed. He explains that while they are more than qualified to rank up, they don't have enough members to begin operating as an A-rank band. Fran asks how many more they need to recruit. Benjamin holds up 2 fingers. He says if they recruit 2 more members, their promotion to A-rank will be immediate. With a new objective in mind, Fran and Leonard head into the city. They find themselves in a grittier part of town, far from the polished halls of the Adventurers Guild. Leonard is skeptical, asking if they can really find teammates in a place like this. But Fran is confident, believing the people here will be a huge asset if they can be persuaded. Suddenly, a voice calls out, telling them to stop. A group of rough-looking thugs blocks their path. Their leader sneers, asking if they know where they are. This is Big Bro Garano's turf, and they're not welcome. His eyes narrow with malice as he warns the kids to get lost before they get hurt. But before his sword can even clear its sheath, Leonard's hand darts out, stopping him cold. Leonard calmly tells the man they aren't here for a fight, but now that a sword has been drawn, he can't just let it slide. With a single, devastating palm strike, Leonard sends the thug flying. The man crashes into a nearby wall, out cold. The other thugs are stunned, but their attention is drawn to a figure stepping out from the shadows. Leonard, seeing that the appearance of stronger foe, lunges at the man with a kick. The man scoffs at Leonard's attack, calling it fast and heavy. He wraps a chain around his arm, a blue aura crackling around it. Maybe on the street it looks impressive, but to a seasoned mercenary who gambles with his life daily, he considers it just child's play. With blinding speed, he swings his massive weapon. The scythe whips through the air, forcing Leonard to his knees to avoid the deadly arc. Leonard looks up from his crouched position, a smirk playing on his lips, retorting that he was thinking the exact same thing. Fran's eyes widen in shock as she whispers Garano's name. The man, Garano, recognizes her too, asking in disbelief if she's that little Francis from back then. Leonard puts the pieces together. This is their guy, Garano the Whaler. Fran confirms he's the one they came for. Garano seems confused, asking why they're looking for him all of a sudden. With renewed determination, Fran declares that she's restarting Aquamarine's activities, and she needs him. She calls him by his full title, a legendary hero of Aquamarine and younger brother of the great Stormtooth Dentuso. Her voice fills with hope as she asks him to lend them his strength and join their cause. But Garano's expression hardens, and he bluntly tells her to go home. He reminds her of the past. Aquamarine didn't just make an enemy of the Moby Dick. They made an enemy of Atlantis itself. He asks if she truly expects him to succeed, where even his legendary brother failed. With a heavy sigh, he turns his back on her, saying sorry, but he's not doing that. He has no interest in walking down a road with no end in sight. As he walks away with his men, he advises Fran to quit being stubborn and find another path. Fran is left heartbroken, her last hope seemingly shattered. So it's a no after all. She knew it would be tough, but the rejection still stings. Just as she's about to give up, Leonard tells her to wait there for a moment, before she can even ask what he's planning. Leonard explodes into action, launching himself towards the departing Garano. Garano whirls around, enraged, demanding to know what the hell he thinks he's doing. Leonard squares up, his eyes burning with intensity. He says with a grin that if talking doesn't work, he'll convince him with his fists. He rushes forward, his punch connecting with a bone-jarring impact that sends Garano flying backwards. The force of the blow sends cracks through the cobblestone street. Leonard calmly walks over and picks up a spear from the corner of the street. He taunts the fallen hero, asking if he's done with paths where he can't see ahead. Garano struggles to his knees, cursing the little punk under his breath. Leonard continues, saying it's funny, because right now, Garano doesn't seem to see his own path at all. Garano glares at him, demanding to know what he's trying to pull. Leonard holds the spear out, offering to show him the path he's supposed to walk. He admits his spear work isn't on the same level as his sword, but it's more than enough to get under his skin. A fire ignites in Garano's eyes. He can see this kid's skill is the real deal. He gets to his feet, grabbing his weapon and telling Leonard not to get cocky about a spear duel. His face contorts with rage and excitement as he warns Leonard to be ready to stake his life. The duel begins with a clash of steel. Leonard expertly parries Garano's attack. He seamlessly transitions from defense to offense, moving with a grace that catches the veteran off guard. Garano is shocked. This kid, he's perfectly reading every single one of his moves. Leonard follows up with a swift kick to the gut, creating an opening. He then chastises Garano, noting that his impressive spear work shows just how much the man has been neglecting his training. Leonard's words strike a nerve, and Garano erupts with a powerful blow. Enraged, he tells Leonard to shut up, his aura flaring red. He screams that his big brother, his master who showed him the path, is gone from this world. The words trigger a memory. He sees his brother, the great storm-toothed Dentuso, through Leonard's techniques. Leonard voice echoes, critiquing his weak step-in. Leonard demonstrates another grip technique, teaching him to keep his grip loose, only unleashing his full power at the apex of the spin. The technique is executed with flawless precision. Garano is left completely stunned, his eyes wide with disbelief, the force of the blow spiderwebbing through the cobblestones. The demonstration is over. Garano stands in the wreckage, a dawning realization on his face. He murmurs that he understands now. It feels like time, which had stood still for so long, is finally moving again. A fire is reignited in the whaler's eyes. He grabs his weapon, his fighting spirit burning brighter than ever. Humbled, he asks if Leonard would be willing to cross weapons with him again and teach him more. Leonard accepts the challenge without hesitation, telling him to bring everything he's got. The scene cuts to sometime after their duel has concluded. Garano, looking much less hostile, walks alongside Leonard as they return to Fran. Fran is surprised to see him, calling out his name. She notes that he seems refreshed somehow. Garano explains that he met a good teacher. Getting knocked around for the first time in a while has really lit a fire under him. Leonard adds his rare praise, stating that Garano will make an excellent combatant and might even surpass his legendary brother someday. Fran is dumbfounded, wondering if men really can become friends just by beating each other up. Taking her chance, she walks towards them. With renewed hope, she tells Garano she wants to ask him again. She looks him in the eye, her voice filled with conviction. Just as her father once brought Dentuso into Aquamarine, she wants to welcome him as a member of the band. She formally asks Garano to join them. Defeated by both fists and spirit, Garano lets out a sigh, admitting he can't possibly turn her down now. They seal the deal with a firm handshake. With his purpose renewed, Garano declares himself a member of the crew. He is Garano the Whaler, B-rank adventurer, and he swears an oath to never flinch before any wave, nor cower in the face of a storm. Leonard looks on, satisfied. That's one step closer to their A-rank promotion. With their first new member secured, they leave the city's gritty underbelly behind them. Back at the Aquamarine's headquarters, they walk into a surprising scene. A well-dressed man and woman are waiting for them. Fran is shocked, recognizing them as Elder Russell and Esther. She asks, what brings them here so suddenly? Elder Russell gets straight to the point. He heard they were aiming for A-rank to explore the rifts. As it happens, his main field of research is those very rifts. Leonard's eyes narrow. Russell explains that the samples he needs from adventurer bands have suddenly stopped coming in. Leonard immediately knows who's behind this. The Union Council. Pablo's doing. He's manipulating the market by blocking rift byproducts. As Russell asks for their help, Fran and Leonard exchange a look of surprise. The Elder snaps his fingers, making his proposition. He'd like to assist with their explorations and continue his research aboard their ship. With him around, he promises they'll be able to secure more than just byproducts. Fran is at a loss for words, stammering if he's really sure about this. Russell clarifies that he won't be a regular member, but a long-term guest and researcher. Esther adds with a smirk that when it counts, he'll be a powerful ally for the Aquamarine. They turn to Benjamin, the man from the A-rank hall, who has been watching the entire exchange. Benjamin, sweating under the pressure, confirms that there's absolutely no issue on the combat power side. Benjamin hands Fran the official documents. Overjoyed, she asks if they're free to head to any rift on the list right away. He confirms they can, and wishes them the best of luck. The newly promoted Aquamarine and its new members look on, ready for their first mission. Without a moment's delay, their ship sets sail on the open ocean. The Aquamarine cuts through the waves, embarking on its new journey. On deck, a newly cleaned up Garano complains that he hasn't even had a chance to properly greet everyone. Fran laughs, admitting she may have rushed things a bit, but she compliments his new look, saying it's clean and bold, and that it suits him. Garano, now shaven and with his hair cut short, looks like a completely different man. He tells her it's an honor to meet her again properly. He then asks the million-dollar question. Where exactly are they headed first? Leonard stands before him, holding the mission brief. He reads out the details. Their destination is a rift in the Fifth Sea. A vortex swirls in the middle of the ocean, the entrance to their first challenge as an A-rank band. Leonard continues, stating the rift's official designation, the Sea Orc Nest.